Were you the guys that placed the firecracker in the lockers?
No, I got suspended for streaking.
What is streaking?
He strips down to his undies and then runs across the pitch.
No, worse.
You did naked.
Like full on.
Oh my god.
That's the first on Coffee Bomb podcast where
Right.
a guest has told us he does streaking. My day job is sales and I take a lot of customers out, and when they order wine, I pretend to know what the fuck I'm. Then compliments to the chef, your Sauvignon Blanc. I have no idea what the fuck that stuff is.
The confidence to own a room when you walk in the room. You may know
Yeah.
nothing. They may know more than me, but they don't know what I don't know.
I mean, aside from obviously the physical profile and what you see, what's the difference between red and white?
It is something called interesting fact. If you squeeze the juice out of 98% of red grapes, the juice is clear. Same color as the juice from the white grape. Very few grapes in the world that you squeeze and the juice is actually red. So the color actually comes from the skins.
Awesome. Can I refer to you as Spence or Spencer?
Either. I actually prefer Spence. I find Spence is more familiar.
Spencer, yeah?
So people that know me well call me Spence.
You were telling these gentlemen that you were in St. Mary's.
I was. Yeah.
Sasa, which year was this?
Not sure which year. I was in St. Mary's for long.
All right.
And you know, in Saints you'd get prize day.
Yes.
And in those days, like my days anyway, we'd all sit in the sun. And like 3 guys would get a prize.
Yes.
It would be like top 3. The guy who came first, second, third, and all of us would just clap for them.
I remember the quadrangle, right?
Yes.
They would have the headmaster sitting up there, and everyone else was in the sun.
Right.
But can we just? I think let me position the mic for Spence here, Kidogo.
Okay.
I think that is better. Spence, just do a mic check.
Mic check.
Yeah, that's even
Mic
much
check, that's better.
That's much clearer.
Cool. Okay.
I think once we get a proper studio, then we'll have those stable Joe Rogan style stands.
Yeah.
Right now, it's
Listen, this is an awesome setup. This is
Yeah.
this is the coolest setup I've ever done one of these things on.
awesome.
So-
It's nice. I can hear Spence clearly.
Oh.
So St. Mary's, what year did you graduate?
So I finished in 2004.
So we fucking definitely met, bro.
We must have.
Because
Because I did the maths also when you'd be talking about it. I'd be like,
were you,
I'm sure.
were you in Yellow House?
No. It's in Red House.
Did you ever were you with Biko Adema?
I was ahead of him.
Was there any Moses Mugeni or
Yes. So I was in his brother Alan's class.
You were in Alan Mugeni's
I was in
class?
Alan Mugeni's class.
No wonder
yeah.
you look familiar.
Yeah.
Swimming gala, you know, you were there.
I didn't swim.
You didn't
But-
swim? No, you weren't there. But like, I remember there was, I'm trying to remember who, but I've placed you in either swimming gala and you know when we
Rugby.
used to have those inter-house
Might have been rugby.
rugby. There was the inter-house drama stuff, maybe in the crowd or something. It's weird, you know.
So yeah, no, so the story I was saying earlier. So I was in Saints 14 years, like standard 1 to IB2. So standard 1 to IB2. The only time I went on stage on prize day was to get that award for being in Saints from standard 1 to IB2. But I played rugby. Rugby was a big part. So I was Saints captain, rugby captain in 04 in my last year.
So that's maybe where
That
it was.
would probably be
Jesus
it.
Christ! You see, you can tell the Saints guy immediately. Like there's an energy about it. You know, that's when it makes you go and say, "God damn!" You know,
I think
that's essentially what it feels like.
these guys are saying that earlier. They're like, we think we missed out.
No, St. Mary's was amazing, but I have something to admit about Saints. Now, I was a relatively dumbass. Like, I wasn't very smart, okay? But in class 4, something changed.
Okay.
And class 4, 5, 6, I was winning prizes and awards.
Oh, nice. So you're one of those guys who'd go up on stage. And,
I'd go up on stage.
very nice.
I got
I
most.
clapped for you. I probably clapped for you.
I got most improved. I ended up getting 3rd in class, and so on and so forth. Now, okay, I'm going to admit something, but essentially, I was. I'm not sure if I should shout out the teacher, but anyway,
The story
goes. So this is class 3. It's last year. My dad is like, "The fuck is this kid doing? He's just getting progressively worse. Like all he wants to do is play PlayStation." So he told my mom, "Just try and find him a tuition teacher." And at the time, I think we'll bleep his name, but our class teacher was. I'm not sure if you remember him.
In primary school.
In primary school. Well, anyway, he's still there.
No
But
way.
Make sure to fucking bleep his name. So, mom goes with me to see, and she's like, "Sir, we need to help him. He's Mzee is going to beat him and beat me. This kid is not doing well." And so, Miss, don't worry, I have a tuition teacher for you called Mr. Anyango. Okay? I think Mr. Anyango, we can say his name because he wasn't part of Saints.
Right.
Now, over the course of the year, Mr. Anyango would teach me about subjects as tuition teachers would. A week before exams, he would give me trial exams. And they were so tough. You know, I'd go through them and he'd be like, no, this is the right answer, this is the right answer. And we'd do them 2-3 times. Like same questions, different positions. Now the exam week comes, I'm like, let me try and answer number 1 of this subject. I'm like, I've done this before.
Ooh.
Number 2, I was like, oh, wow, even this question has come. Question 3, then I turned the page. I'm like, I've seen these questions before. Turn the page. I know all these things, bro. So I think, again, bleep his fucking name. I was giving him all the papers. And I was passing the exams before that because of that.
You became third.
Yeah, so then...
Not first.
So third, yeah. So clearly I'm a dumbass.
No, you're obviously keeping it.
Yeah.
Creating some,
You don't want to go from class position 30 all the way to position 1. You have to sort of leave room for that. But anyway, that was a wild experience. But so you went through Saints.
Yeah.
What happened after that? Because you're now, and maybe just to give folks a bit of an insight into our conversation, you DM'd me. Right. I'm like, this is an interesting page. He's a sommelier. What is a sommelier? Then I saw wine, food tasting, pairing, and I mentioned it to these guys.
Right.
And these guys are like, you have to get this guy on the show. We have a lot of interesting questions for it. And I work in the corporate world.
Okay.
So my day job is sales, and I take a lot of customers out. And when they order wine, I pretend to know what the fuck I'm saying. Oh yeah, you need compliments to the chef. You're Sauvignon Blanc. I have no idea what the fuck that stuff is. And my boss and a lot of people that I work with have tried to get me into it. So I was like, you know what? This is an interesting conversation to have, to learn about your culture, to learn about your world. And the way I wanted to approach it is, obviously, we've established you're a Saints guy.
Right.
So we've broken barriers of friendship. We're friends now. We're mates.
Yeah, commonality.
So talk to me about life after Saints and how you sort of ended up here.
Right. Okay, cool. So wine, and you'll find very interesting. It didn't happen. It wasn't instant. It didn't happen very soon after Saints, actually. And my own wine journey was very accidental, and happened completely by coincidence. And then I guess with anything else, there's a good measure of good fortune and sort of right place, right time, right people. And I think maybe I'd shout out to Saints, not to beleaguer the point, but there's a confidence you gain in an environment like that, especially I think if you excel at something. And that stuff it's a bit of it's almost a secret weapon almost, but fairly, one way, the confidence to own a room when you walk in a room. You may know nothing, and it's the same confidence you have when you're ordering that Sauvignon Blanc that you have no idea about. Like, you're just looking at that wine and you're like, these guys, they may know more than me, but they don't know what I don't know.
Correct.
There was many elements of that happened in my life and opportunities that came up, and then all just sort of cascaded into the journey that was. But immediately after I finished Saints, as I mentioned, I played rugby. Rugby was a very big part of my immediate life after school. In fact, had a few troubles in Saints.
What happened?
As many did. No, what happened? What didn't? There was so many. There was literally and I think it culminated in one meeting with principal at the time.
Mr. Washira?
Nah, high school. IB actually. Mr. Sang. It was Mr. Sang.
Mr. Sang.
Yeah. Yes, and he was also the rugby guy. So like we knew each other well. He's like, listen, my guy. I mean, and it was such like when I think back on some of the stuff we did, it was pretty stupid. It was just being young and stupid and have excess energy and testosterone and all that came with.
Quick question: Were you the guys that placed the firecracker in the lockers?
No.
Do you remember those?
I remember those. Those guys are older than we were. No. I got suspended for streaking, which was pretty wild.
What is streaking?
Streaking, literally.
What is streaking?
Asking nothing.
He strips down to his undies and then runs across the pitch.
No, worse.
You did naked.
Like full on.
Oh my God.
Really?
Yeah, it was such a.
Okay. Wow.
So they talk about stupid things that you do when you're young. So
Hey, cheers to that.
it
That's
was-
the first on Coffee Pump podcast where a
Right.
guest has told us he does streaking.
No.
So we have-
does. It does make it sound like it's a
Okay, so-
practice. It's a continuing practice. It's not a
did
continuing
in
practice.
Saints.
Yeah, man. No. So what? It was after rugby training. It was like one of those days. It rained as all hell. Pitch was wet and everyone was like queuing up to shower. So we're all waiting to shower and this guy, just banter guys and like, yeah, no, I ran faster than you. No, I ran faster than you. Like, okay, cool. No, it's not about shoes, nothing. No, like, it's like whoever's the fastest. Remember games these that'd be like this puddle at the bottom where the water would collect.
Yes.
And so that was the finish line. The first person to jump in would have been the one who won the race. And so that was it. You know, he did it, thought nothing of it, went on with life. Now it turns out, and this is like almost, I think I'd finished all the bad luck in my life. Ended in that. There happened to be a nun
Oh,
who
man.
was walking, like loosely just walking. And she saw it and she's like, no, this is, yeah.
Yeah, because it was part of the Catholic school.
Right,
so that
right,
must have been
right.
fucking
So-
Sister Jerome. Probably so she used to whoop the shit out of me.
I remember her, yeah, no. So anyway, so then there had to be consequences. So it became this huge thing. And anyway, short of the long, I got suspended for it. And came with the suspension, I wasn't allowed to play rugby anymore. This was IB1, and then IB2 became captain still. Then while I was still rugby captain now, Stan was like, listen, this is if you just like do one more thing. Like stupid. But as it had happened, I had as a rugby captain, you had access to a fair amount of things, spend time in his office and all that.
Right.
And he had these permission slips to let you out of school. And so I was like, things can come in handy. So I used to take them, and I had a bunch of them. But then the problem was I'd have to sign them, and the watchies wouldn't check the signatures. So and then used it, and then got caught. And so then the next day, the guys was like, "Listen, does this look familiar?" I'm like, "I've never seen it in my life. No idea." I was like, "No, that's your name." And so he's like, so he puts it in his top drawer, and he's like, "Listen, if there's one more indiscretion, you do one more thing, I remove this thing, and you've been suspended or you're going to be expelled." So that was the sort of come to Jesus got me straight and narrow,
right?
And all those good things. But rugby was a big part of my life up to that point. And so then after Saints, played Kenya 19, Kenya 21, and played for Nondies as a rugby club. But by the time I finished school, my one ambition was to play rugby. And from the time I was a little kid in Saints, I always wanted to be the rugby captain. So that was dream done.
That was amazing.
So I didn't really have a massive plan. Like I did IB primarily to continue playing. And so what I did know I wanted to do, what I enjoyed doing was cooking. And so
Okay.
yeah,
At a very early age, did you start cooking?
yeah. No, man, yeah. And my folks were fairly were quite progressive. They were very supportive, and my dad was like, "Look, if you enjoy doing this, that's a career. Why don't you?" And my uncle, on my mom's side, had been involved in the culinary arts as well.
Okay.
So I was like, sure, I could do it, and so I joined. It was a school here in Westlands, Top Chefs.
There was a school.
Yeah.
Actually, there was a culinary school. Is it still there?
I don't know.
Just give
I
me one
don't
second,
know.
Spencer. I think someone's calling my phone. I'm
No
not sure if it's a
stress.
delivery.
Do you think? And do you think?
Sorry. Oh no, it's our good friend Eric Mutiso.
Can I hijack the conversation while you deal with that?
Yeah, please.
Let me ask.
Yeah,
On
sure.
rugby, are you a Springbok fan?
I am. I mean, it's very hard to live in South Africa and not be. Literally, it's very hard.
Because I have a lot of South African friends,
Mm.
and the one thing out of everything they fight over is like Springboks. No matter what happens, yeah, Springboks play. You have to just
Yeah,
I have a question about the rugby culture. Because Saints was very, very big in rugby.
yeah.
But I'm not familiar what happened post high school if you wanted to continue playing. What were the options?
Yeah. That's a great question actually, and that was I think I don't know if it's changed now. It's been 20 years ago already, but that was very sad. Like I'll sit here and tell you, like the guys I played high school rugby with, who were quality, like
Yeah.
they're just insanely naturally talented, and then never went anywhere because because real life happened after that. Like, you know, a lot of people's folks didn't let them play rugby. A lot of people's folks are like, okay, cool, that's a school thing. Now you got to focus here in uni campus. You
can't do a job.
Yeah, exactly. And so a lot of people, like that attrition, they say 100 people finish high school from top rugby schools, Saints, whatever. Maybe 20% would continue, and continue would then be joining a club. And then joining a club was completely voluntary. There was no...
You weren't paid for it?
Nah. I would, again, might have changed now.
Right.
But I was selected to play. It was part of the National 15s camp. This is the Kenya 15 side team. And I think our allowance was like 5,000 then. I mean, again, obviously a lot of stuff has changed now, but in those days it was completely heart passion and that. And
I think now they're clubs, right? Now you can join a proper league and get paid. And
well, there was always a league, eh? And the league was like legendary. Like there was this, again, just some of the people who played. I remember watching some of the guys who played club rugby and just incredibly talented, proper athletes. Played the game really well. It was quality and team. We played this Kenya Cup, which was the top league. The clubs that played Kenya Cup, like Nondi's is over 100 years old now. Quins is an old club, and Impala is an old club. So that heritage was there. And I think just life, you know, like life caught up. A lot of the time it was played by Odieros and expatriates, and then after colonialism, after post independence, then more African players became. But it was significant enough that the first African player to play for Kenya was lauded, and things like that would be appreciated. So yeah, I think just culturally at the time, I mean, it was a very different Nairobi, a different Kenya then. It was a luxury to be able to finish work and go and
play
rugby.
Exactly, because it takes time. I'm referencing the All Blacks Sonny Bill Williams.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're familiar with him. He mentioned that obviously in New Zealand, the rugby culture is part and parcel of, and it's the fabric of who they are. Like their clubs to support you, you get paid, you can earn salaries. There's a whole league. The way we have Premier League between Australia and New Zealand, they would play across Europe and being traded different clubs. That doesn't really happen in East Africa to that scale where you can say that at that time, obviously, you can live off it very well. There were very few people that I saw, especially from Saints, who are rugby legends. Very few of them ended up going towards the way. Your case in point, you were the captain, right? But there wasn't a clear road path where you could say, "I want to pursue a career in rugby."
No. But, I mean, you'd have to be like, I mean, you first of all be incredibly lucky, and then like stupidly talented. But I mean, you mentioned Biko Adema. He played in Maya. He played a few years after that. I think he was Saints captain a few years later. He went on to do some pretty incredible things. So there was a way, but yeah, a lot of things would have had to line up for you to do that.
If you compare South Africa rugby culture, was it much more mature compared to here?
Oh, dude, like so my son's in a rugby school, a traditional rugby school in Cape Town. He's 10 years old. The things he's doing at 10 years old is the stuff I would be learning in high school, and they're playing full on contact rugby, and that's a Saturday morning, and we'd be easily a couple of hundred people watching.
Right.
10-year-olds playing rugby. That's where it starts, and then it builds and it builds and it builds. And so like their school rivalries, the school that he's in, their rivals just up the road from them, you'd easily get 20,000 people watching a high school game. And that's most like old boys, and so that culture is strong, and that's just a rivalry between two schools, and so those rivalries like bleed deep into the more deeper heartlands of South African rugby. So
okay.
Yeah.
So globally, how does South Africa rank? I'm assuming sevens is a completely different line compared to traditional, but the Springboks, are they top 5 globally?
No, they're the best team in the world.
Best team?
By a distance at the moment, yeah.
That's insane. What about All Blacks right now? Where are they?
A distant second currently.
And third?
Third's a bit of a toss-up, but France, between France and Ireland are quite up there.
This, no homo, but fucking rugby guys, bro. Seriously, man. Have you seen look? I've got 3 odd looks, and one of them is for my wife as well.
So you all want to know what you're going to say next,
dude? Yes. I'm just saying, like, if there's athletes, if you want a perfect athlete, It's the fighting capabilities of a UFC fighter and the body of a rugby player. I think those two matched.
Oh yeah.
That's a killer. You get a rugby guy to be in UFC. That's just imagine Khabib Nurmagomedov with Sonny Bill Williams. Body.
Who used to box as well, Sonny Williams.
Yes, exactly.
he
He
did,
went into boxing later on.
Yeah.
So rugby clearly is influential in your culture. Did you manage to keep it up when you went to the culinary school?
Yeah. You know, it was super coincidental because you know you reach a point when you finish high school and then you start playing. You gotta grow. You gotta bulk up at some point. And a lot of like with that time, like protein was becoming a thing, creatine, and like guys doing that sort of stuff. But I used to work in restaurants. Literally, I'd work in kitchens. So it was like bottomless supply of all the things you're supposed to be eating. So that helped me. It helped me tremendously. But yeah, so again, if I was like sort of short circuit my life at that point, I was cooking. I was in cooking school. I was playing rugby. And I was happy, man. That was as good as life was going to get. And then real life happens, and then you grow up, and then I realized I realized first of all I didn't want to be a chef, like just cook for a living.
Yeah, what put you away from that?
So that's a very good question. It's really good.
ChatGPT, bro.
New prep. So largely, again at the time, and I was always referenced this is at the time, like 20 odd years ago, in a very different. And I'm gonna say, like I said off air before we started chatting, I haven't been to Nairobi for 3 years.
Okay,
and what's changed in the last 3 years?
It's crazy.
Is just madness. Right?
Crazy.
And then before that, I hadn't been for like 2 years, and I was saying to everyone then, I haven't been for 2 years, and it's just madness. Like it's accelerating at a level that is just absolutely mind blowing.
The food scene here is crazy. Every week there's a new restaurant.
Yes.
The other day he took me to I don't want to call them condom sleeves they put on the meat, but there's something they served us. It was like a Vietnamese or Asian.
Right.
What was it called? What
like
did we
rice
have?
paper or
Oh shit, yeah. That was the fucking oddest thing I ate. Not bad, not tasty. What was the restaurant called? Bung Pho or something.
Nokia.
Oh, Nokia. It's
Okia.
called
like
Okay.
Okay.
So not bad. You would have never seen that kind of shit 5 years ago.
Yeah.
There's just all sorts of culinary experiences opening up. And one thing I'll reference is and I've talked about this previously as to why fine dining sort of appealed to me. It was South Africa. There was a restaurant in Cape Town called La Colombe. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it.
I know it very well.
So 2-star Michelin restaurant. My boss at the time was arranging a meeting with Amazon guys, so very big, fancy dinner. He set the meeting up for 8 people. We showed up. The Amazon guys canceled on us last minute.
Ooh.
So he's like, fuck it. We've made a reservation. It's very difficult to get La Colombe. Let's go, the 3 of us. Let's just have dinner. And it was with wine pairing. Never done anything like that before. And I was telling my boss, why don't we just go and get a fucking steak or a burger? He's like, have you ever eaten fine dining at a Michelin star? I was like, no. He's like, shut the fuck up. Let's get in the car and go. We get there. By the end of it, I was literally in tears as to the sensory experience that food gave me.
Yeah.
There's bites that I took that literally took me back to my childhood, not fucking exaggerating. My grandmother used to make rotis on the tawa, the traditional tawa? There's something they made which was like a roti, and they wrapped it up in seafood, and they use different salts and different herbs. When it hit my mouth, quite literally took me back in time.
Amazing.
And then obviously wine pairing. So me and Vincent, I'm going to out you, we were fucking plastered the shit out of. And we didn't understand anything about wines. They were like, sir, this goes well with this. I was like, sure.
Bring it.
You shake it up.
You got your little swirl going, and yeah, that's cool.
But referencing what I was saying is, about 3-4 years ago, the first fine dining sort of experience I had in Nairobi was a Japanese restaurant that opened up at Kempinski.
Oh, okay.
It's closed now, unfortunately, but this chef would fly in fresh fish from Japan on a weekly basis and would have a set menu. They would charge anywhere from 40,000 bob a person to 70,000 bob, depending on what you eat. That's where I took a customer, and I was like, okay, Nairobi is getting to a place where we can actually have these kind of restaurant and experiences. It wasn't there 5 years ago. So I agree with you, completely changed. But anyway, so you were saying that
Well, yeah, no, I think to answer your question was more to that point was that at that time, and again, like shout out to my folks, they were very
Supportive.
yeah, supportive, but they also brought us up in a way that it exposes us, my sister and I, to a lot of things. So we I think we're a little bit more worldly, even though we lived in Nairobi then. There was more of an idea of that we had family lived all over the world and stuff. So there was that hung. So for me, when I'd see what a chef would be like, I thought it would be like, you know, the stuff you'd see on TV, you know, and you know, you're on TV show and like, here's some stuff I made earlier, and this is the new what, and then the reality at the time was not. It was incredibly blue collar work.
Very rough.
And my first internship, I was working. So it was way schoolwork. You do 2 months. Well, it was 3 years, and you spent exactly a year and a half in school, and a year and a half in the industry training. Yeah, my first internship was at a bread factory.
Bread factory.
Yeah, bread factory in industrial area. And my first shift, I don't know, I drew the short straw. My first shift was the night shift. And so imagine, like, I came out as a finished Saints, came out of Saints, world at my feet, thinking I'm $1 million, man. I'm doing, living my dream, playing rugby, all those things, and I went to work in a bread factory. It was incredibly humbling, incredibly, like, you learn. I feel like you, and it was from, like, as a life experience, it was really important. It's like stuff that I took away with and have stayed with for a long time. And seeing just, like, you know, how different the world is and how other people live. So it was a cool experience in that respect. But it was an incredibly humbling thing to do that. Then I used to get a lift from the truck, because the truck would now deliver bread. And I used to live in West here, so the truck would come to Western, so I'd take the bus.
What was your role in the middle of the night? What are you doing there?
You're just making bread, man. So the way it would work is that the bread had to be fresh in the morning. Right?
So manually,
literally as well. They'd have these big machines that would they'd candle it, so just basically knead it, and then we'd make them by hand. Like you'd fold the loaves and put them in the tins and put them in these giant ovens. And
there's on the family side, they manufacture rusk.
Yeah.
So initially, the smell of bread was so nice and appealing. But 2 weeks after, you're like, fuck bread, I can't eat. So I can imagine working there day and night. You're like, enough bread, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that was so immediately that started. I was saying to myself, like, should I have these grand plans for my life? You know, I travel the world. I think that I'm not gonna make it on this salary. I'm getting paid less than my school fees was.
Wow.
So then you think, and I remember as an intern, I'm like, shit, if I got a job here, I'd be getting,
Yeah.
You know, so this is probably not, this is not going to be what I want to do. So to my folks, I'm like, I don't think this is for me. And my old man was like, nah, man, no. You gotta see it through. Like, it's fun. You may not finish with it, but
fucking Gen Z guys, you hear that?
yeah, no, right.
Not join a job for not 6-month contract, and then 1 week in, you're like, Papa, it's too tough. No, fuck this. I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. Join some podcast, do something. You understand? You know? That's where you put. That's where you hit.
No, but it is true, and
you know what? I want Collins to be in charge of the. We've added some new sounds, by the way.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
I watched the first podcast.
So just add
the sounds debuted.
Yeah. So Collins, just maybe in the mic say something shocking and then press what you were saying. Right.
No, I can't say it's so wild.
Okay, just say something dumb and press the button. I want Spence to get a bit of feel. Which one is?
When I was 12 years old,
Something terrible happened.
something terrible happened.
Right. There's Allahu Akbar one.
Ah.
And then which one else is there? Yeah, that still has a bit of a lag. All right, so you know the goddamn button.
Yeah.
Just keep your finger on it, so whenever Spencer says something, you can react to it. That's the one.
Oh, right.
Awesome.
Cool. Collins have a proper radio voice, man. That's
Yeah. By the way, Collins, actually, just I've never heard you in my ears.
That's very
Goddamn.
sus. I think you should have the pause sound by Dame Dash. Pause.
Pause.
There
Yeah.
you go.
No, not bad. What are you doing now?
Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah. Collins has a radio voice, by the way.
Full on, man.
I
Full
wanted to
on.
do journalism, but
No,
the money.
but now he's sort of forcing it.
no.
Yeah, he's
Just
even
how he sounds.
he's even
I
bent
have-
down prosperly to talk. He's trying to get that voice.
have
Be
to-
like Fazal, be natural. All right.
Welcome to Coffee Bomb Podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
You see, that's
Well,
nice.
not bad, eh?
That's Fazal's voice, daily
Nice.
voice.
It's brilliant. You should use that.
Yeah, that we should
You
use that.
should use that for the
Traditional.
intro.
Welcome to Coffee Pump Podcast.
different
One of
voices for different markets. It's cool. You make it
So
work.
Collins, you're in charge of sound effects now, right? Whenever you hear something. Anyway, Spence, back to
Okay.
your story.
Yeah.
Your family
Yeah.
very
yeah,
open.
okay.
You've been exposed.
So
to
yeah, so the then is the folks were like see it through. So I saw it through.
Yeah.
I finished it and I graduated and then and my mom was like I had my mom family lineage and stuff. Her family grew up in the States. She grew up in the States as well. So we had family there. And she was like, cool, maybe if this market's not for you, maybe you can try be a chef in the States. And then this was very interesting, but one of the things just coincidentally changed my life completely, but applied to get a job. My uncle was able to get me a job in the States.
In the
It
States.
was a stage. It wasn't really a job. It was like an extended internship, and then
Okay.
foot in the door, and you could become a statistic like many of the people. Once you're there, then you figure it out.
Whereabouts was this in the States?
In San Francisco.
Okay, very liberal place.
Very, yeah, and a culinary destination as well. So there was a lot of opportunity. We felt. So I went to the U.S. Embassy. Those days, yeah, it's still here. It's in Gigiri, and I don't know if have you ever applied for a U.S. visa?
Bro, I did. It took
Mate.
It's been. I finally got my visa.
Oh, did you? Oh, well
Yeah. Again, I think every other episode I mentioned that I finally got my U.S. visa, so we need to make
Congrats.
use of it.
That's a big deal.
But it took a year just to get the fucking appointment.
Like, yeah. And then if you're late,
Yeah.
then
nothing.
you mend evil. Then you go again. So anyway, so I went to get I tried to get the thing, and the chickie had that glass. We have that glass wall, and then like put the speaker on. Like,
What do you want?
Exactly. And so, and I had nothing. I had the job. I had the offer of that, and then I think I was 21 or 22 years old. I had no family. I had no like kids or anything. They're like, it was like, we're defining you as a flight risk because you fit a profile of someone who's going and never coming back. No, I mean, that's fair. I mean, in hindsight, I think that's absolutely fair. So I did end up getting a US visa.
Okay.
But what then happened in that space in between, I was still playing rugby. I was like, cool, and I know how to cook. And then I had a friend, Esmeralda D'Souza. I think she's quite prominent, I think, Kenyan food scene. And we started a business called Spez, which was
Esmeralda D'Souza. Why does that sound so
she was in
familiar?
Saints.
She was in Saints.
Yeah, she was the head girl, I think.
By the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you in Bahati's?
No, but my wife was.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
You
Well, I'll get to her part because she has a big part of the story of how I got into wine.
My wife is here, but my high school crush was Bahati.
You and many people, many people. But yeah, so my wife and Bahati were actually really good friends. And funny story, shame he'd passed. So her late husband was the guy I got suspended streaking with. So small world, small world. But yeah. Yeah, I was out of that. So we started Spez. So it was a catering company, and the idea was now as I was waiting to be rejected because they take your papers, right? They'll do the decent thing and be like, we'll review and get back to you. And we started this catering company, and then that grew and grew, and so food was the scene, and at the time like we had some cool ideas and like different things, and again it was a market. Even then, like Nairobi was like an evolving market. I think there's always energy in Nairobi. There's always like people willing to try stuff and do stuff and things like that. So we had some creative new ideas in a scene that was very dominated by restaurants that would do outside catering and things like that. And so we had something different and innovative, and it went really well for a period. And then I went to South Africa for the first time. Somewhere along that journey.
What propelled that move to South Africa?
Right. So then girlfriend, then my wife now, and biggest probably single influence that changed the entire trajectory of my life. So we met in high school. She was in Saints. She was a year ahead of me, and we started dating just as she was finishing her last year. So and then it worked. Like we always
Oh,
worked.
so you guys were like high school
Yeah,
sweethearts. That's
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah. It's a fairy tale story. And so she went to study at UCT in Cape Town. And so throughout the time she was studying, she's like, "Man, you must come. You're gonna love it here. Like it's everything you like." And I was like, "Yeah, cool." And then I think at the point she'd finished school. She got a really great job offer, and so she started working there. And then between the two of us, managed to put all our money together to buy a ticket for me to go and visit her. And now she's like 20 something. It's her first job. She's got her first apartment. So went there to see her. And the big hook was rugby because the Springboks were playing Australia. There was a place called Newlands. It's the state where the stadium was. And so she was like, "Cool, let's go play." When you come, we'll go watch the Springboks live, which is like dream come true. So cool. So the game is in the evening, and she's like, let's go wine tasting in the afternoon. And I'm like, okay, cool. Very much like you, the whole concept, the idea of it was completely foreign to me. It was like a chick is putting me up. She's looking after me. Just got me tickets to watch the game.
Yeah.
I mean, why say no? Well, so humor, and I'm like, cool, this whole wine tasting thing. So go and click like Google search, read up on it. They're like, yeah, you taste, you swirl, you swirl, you swallow. You don't swallow, you spit. I'm like, why would you? Nice one. Like, why would you do that? And then of course now again referencing the time, there wasn't a lot of wine in Kenya, and the quality of wine we had was not the best. It wasn't the strongest. And I mean, for me, my mom drank wine, and she'd drink wine like out of the box. And there's those Drosty Hoff was the brand. And if the old man had ever pissed off to make up, he'd buy a box of 5-liter wine, which is like, yeah, it was pretty wild. But that was my knowledge of it. So there's dry wine, sweet wine, white wine, red wine.
Yeah.
And you mix the two, you get these rosés.
And what was the thing about spitting it out? I never got that.
Well, just so you don't get drunk, really.
But what's the point of then tasting so much wine? It's to get levered.
No. I suppose that's good. Let's dive right in. No, it's
Actually, yeah. Please. Okay, fine. Let's
no, it's
dive
cool. I know it actually it does tie into the story because I was thinking the same thing you were.
Like what
Right?
are you doing?
Literally. And so we go down. Drive down to Stellenbosch, so Cape Town, Stellenbosch, about a 40-minute drive. And we go to this one wine estate. It's called Neatlingshof. And it's stunning. So it's like drive-throughs, oak-lined streets,
Beautiful,
and then
yeah.
like man. And the feeling was like you don't feel like you're in Africa anymore. Like this is the sort of stuff you saw.
Yeah, you
know,
feel like
watching-
you're in Napa Valley.
Yeah,
or
something like well, France. You're like, geez, this is nice and cool. So we pull up, and the guy pulls out a wine. And now and I've told the story in many different forums, but that this one thing happened. He happened to pour me a wine. The type of wine is called a Gewürztraminer. Now, normally, in the order, knowing what I know now of tasting wine, you would never start with the Gewürztraminer. It's quite an aromatic wine. It's very dominant, and so if they taste that first, it's going to make it hard to taste a lot of things afterwards. But for whatever reason, man, that guy, the first wine we tasted was that, and the guy starts to spiel. He's like, "Yeah, no, you taste this wine, it's going to taste like Turkish Delight and rose water." Man, life in South Africa must be hard. Like guys, if guys have to be, you're just lying, to people so that they can buy this thing. I'm like, anyway, I'll humor the guy. He's like, cool, no problem. So he pours the thing. And remember, at this point, this is the only wine I ever had: dry, sweet, white, red. And the thing about the food thing was that I did know what he meant when he said Turkish Delight and rose water, because those are things that you'd come across with food. And I tasted, and I'm like, well, first I smell it. I'm like, hang on. Then I taste it, and I'm blown away. Like everything he said, like Turkish Delight, rose water, all those things. I'm like, what the? And so he comes back, and I'm like, man, so how do you do it? Do you put these things in it like tea, like macerate it, and you get the flavor from it? He's like, starts laughing. He's like, nah. That's just what this grape tastes like. And now I'm gonna pour you this other grape, and it tastes like something totally different. And that just blew me away. I was completely blown. And we got back in the car. I told my wife now, like, listen, you got to tell me everything you know about wine, because this thing is just it's absolutely fascinating. And so every time I'd visit her, over the time we did long distance for about 7 years
Wow.
in total.
Long distance for 7 years, bro.
Yeah. I mean, we saw each other often though.
Okay.
Because when she was studying, she'd come here for holidays, so she'd be here for fairly long periods of time, and then when she started working we were both working, I'd spend a lot of time going there. So we saw each other. Probably saw each other just about enough to keep the relationship going. You know, it's not you go far enough to miss it enough that
Another time you guys probably didn't have WhatsApp and stuff like
so
that.
we evolved with technology. It's actually quite a cool story. Like when we first started dating, she'd like phone me from a phone booth. You'd wait your turn to do that, and then you'd get like SMSs, and you'd pay more for SMSs abroad.
5 more messages.
Yeah, no, but if you're SMSing
You say,
outside,
babe, I love you. Don't message back. This is my mom's phone.
with no spaces, right? Cut every word.
Cut every-
It's 160.
Yeah, because there was a limit to how much text.
169 characters. I still
Throwback.
remember. There you go. So then tech came along. Like we then had we could Google on Gmail. You could chat then.
Like MSN Messenger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then you could have these things, but then we would have to go to a cyber to do that. So I'd go to a cyber, then we'd agree 4:30 your time, 3:30 my time. Well, okay, cool. We meet and so no, we came from far. Then eventually WhatsApp came, and then communication became so much easier. But Gen Zs will never know the struggle.
Did you guys ever go through that text message era?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like free messaging right now. Did you ever have to pay 5 bob a message?
No. Sure, you guys are young. They came down to 1 bob at some point.
Yeah.
See, I had one of those Nokia T9 dialers. And then text one thing. You press 3, 1, 2, 3.
Right.
T, what about yourself? Did you ever? Because you're quite young.
I think we had the Nokia 310.
3310.
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
that plays Snake and Bounce. That's the
And it was
one.
unbreakable.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbreakable. Like it could.
And then I think in the end my house help stole it. So
Legend. Right. So obviously it's evolved. But at the time when you're back in Kenya now, are you still doing
The catering company.
The catering company.
It's still going on, yeah. So all that's kind of both. I mean, I think we reached a point where we realized both our worlds are moving. We're both establishing roots and setting up our lives in different directions. But now going much more frequently, and we're doing the wine tasting things and doing a few more courses and stuff. Because I figured then, like, I'm a chef, it won't hurt to know a little bit more about wine. Then we're like, cool. Like, at some point, we're going to get married. Let's advance this to its natural conclusion. And so we get married. And the plan then is like, so she's doing an MBA at the time, so it's a two-year thing. So she was like, cool, let me do my second year of my MBA. And I'm like, cool, well, I can, it's what the kids call a sabbatical these days. It didn't exist back then, but I figured I'm in the business at a point where I could step away to a point.
right?
And I figured I'd do a business course, because like now the actual running of a business, I was spending less time in the kitchen, more time running the business. And I had no formal qualifications. So I thought, let me do a business course at Stellenbosch. So they had a one year business course, and so that would work while she was finishing hers, and then you'd come back home and start life. And then there's expectation versus reality. Then she was working and studying, and I was just studying in the daytime, so we wouldn't actually see that much of each other. So I found a really good wine course to do in the evenings, and so I thought, let me do that and pass the time, and actually get a formal wine qualification as well as this business qualification, and then we see what happens from there. And maybe about 4 or 5 months into it, we both, like, it was one Sunday afternoon. I mean, you've been, like, Cape Town is easily one of the most
Stunning.
beautiful places in the world. Yeah, man. And so I was driving along in Durbanville, like, this is nice, you know. And it's like, yeah, this is nice. Like, well, why do you want to change it? And it's like, actually, I don't. Actually, I don't think I want to change it either. So we thought in that moment was how and when we decided to stay. And then let's see what happens when we stay. And so she was legit there. She was working. She had a work permit. Controversially, right now. And I needed to get a work permit.
And you're Kenyan passport holder.
Yeah.
So was it difficult at the time?
Insanely difficult. So we now said, cool, we're gonna do this. So then I'm like, cool, I've got this I've started a business. I have business experience. I have a business qualification. I'm a qualified chef. How hard would it be to find a job? And I couldn't. I literally couldn't. I must have done maybe 30 or 40 interviews. And it's the same. I mean, same thing. That's a lot of the drama in South Africa right now about that was that look, you're not there's no exceptional skill that you have that a South African doesn't. So there's really no reason for us to give you this job over a South African.
Yeah.
So like, but then worse still, at that point I knew I didn't want to be a chef. So like, I was actually not looking for something I didn't have any experience in doing. And I thought, well, look, I mean, I know about food. And I know about wine. So I said, let me try and get a job as a restaurant manager and run restaurants. So your expectation, you're like, cool, I think a fairly big deal for myself. So you set your benchmark salary, you go there and like, cool, what are you hoping to earn? You're like, this much. You're like, no. And then the next interview you ask for less and you ask for less and you get to the point where you're like, I'll just take anything. Like, I mean, I just want to get the legitimacy to be here. And so this is one of those coincidences that I said a lot of luck got me to where I am now. So I went for a job interview, probably like the 40th one I went for. And it's starting to go down the road of all the others. Like, cool, yeah, no, we see that, but you have a Kenyan passport. We don't really want to endorse, get you a work permit because, first of all, there are South Africans who can do this job. And second of all, if we get it for you, there's no guarantee you're going to stay. You might get another job and all that. And so the guy's like going through the motion. He looks at my CV and he sees I got a wine qualification. He's like, you got a wine qualification? I'm like, yeah. It's like, you like wine? I'm like, I love it. It's like, oh, shit, okay, cool. So other than running these restaurants, I head up the South African Sommeliers Association. So I actually want someone who's very interested in wine because wine is a very big part of this restaurant. And so on the strength of that, I got the job. And it was cool because what he said was absolutely true. And at the time in South Africa, there was a bit of a movement now where the wine scene was getting demystified somewhat, and so fantastic wine lists were being found in more everyday restaurants, where before there was a preserve of fine dining
Very
restaurants.
selected
Yeah.
restaurants.
And so he owned an Italian restaurant. It was really cool, like really proper Italian cuisine, but with an incredible wine. And from then, now my job became to moderate that wine list. I didn't have the authority to make a decision what would be on the wine list, but I could shortlist, so I would be able to see the guys. And at that time, because of what the restaurant structure was, everyone wanted to be on that wine list. And so that became like my 10,000 hours, because now I was eating it up with a big spoon. Like every day, someone else would be coming with a different wine. They're like, hey, and I would see everyone, and I would taste everything, anything anyone brought. Like that's just like really just building up that lexicon of in your memory of this and this and this. And then at that time, then I started doing a few more wine courses, more advanced wine courses. And so what the stuff you were learning about in the book, now you were seeing in real life. And then you're meeting people, you're meeting winemakers, you're meeting distributors, you're meeting people like that. So now you're asking them questions and you're getting like real first-hand answers and stuff like that. And so I'm like, this is the direction I really want to go. This is something. I'm not just a restaurant manager. I'm heading towards becoming a sommelier, understanding wine, and then the wine scene. I mean, you're in a wine producing country, so there's obviously a lot of perks that come with that. So they'd be, come visit this vineyard and come see this one, and the guy's like, oh, you're selling wine. Listen, you come, bring your wife, bring your family. So that's how it.
That's sort of
really
how you
started.
stepped into it.
Yeah.
So a couple of questions, especially now that we're diving into wines, right? They're different type of wines.
Yes.
Maybe explain to me and explain to the audience, because we're mushambas, what wines there and how do you pair it with food? Let's start there.
Okay. It's slightly more. It's a more difficult question than you think. there are literally tens of thousands of different wines, wine grapes. So maybe we starting from the beginning. Wine is an agricultural product. Like beyond the showbiz, the razzmatazz, the stuff in the bottles and all that you see it on a restaurant, wine list and all that. At its very core, at its very basis, it's an agricultural product. It's grapes. Grapes, particular species of grape called Vitis vinifera, which is different from the species of grape that we make table grapes from. So it's a completely different species, looks the same, behaves different. And there are literally tens of thousands of different strains or different families of Vitis vinifera. But the ones that have been most commercially successful are called the noble grape varietals, and those are the ones that you'll find generally on wine lists all over the world.
Okay.
And there are like 9 of them, both red and white, and so those are the most predominantly planted all over the world. But in any wine producing country, especially in the old world, they'll always have indigenous grapes that aren't finding their way onto wine lists and those things. But that's what the locals drink, and that's what the locals make.
So can wine? Wine essentially comes from that
That grape.
species of grape.
Yes.
Can that grape grow anywhere? So, for example, in Kenya, do we have a specific grape that can be converted into wine?
Absolutely.
Really?
100%. Right? If you put a vine in the corner here, put in a pot, it'll grow.
Okay.
And the vine is interestingly the reason it has so many plantings in a country like South Africa is that it's quite hardy. So the Western Cape, which is predominantly where wine grows, is a very water scarce region, and has very difficult growing conditions. So it's not easy to grow different crops. It's not like, and funny, when you come back to Nairobi, you forget, but the soil here is so rich. Like it's that rich, red, muddy soil that you throw a mango out of your car window and there'll be a mango tree. It's very different in South Africa. The soil is hard. You toil like it's so the vines are quite resilient.
So that helps with the quality of grape.
It does. It fundamentally does, yes. Because what would happen, and I think probably the easiest way to explain it is, if you planted vines in this rich soil, you'll get fat grapes, which are full of water, very healthy. Because for the grape, it wants to continue its life. It's like any living thing. It's continuations of its species, and it reproduces by birds eating the seeds. And so for it to survive, it wants to make that fruit as attractive as possible, which means you want to catch the eye of the bird that's going to eat it. It's going to be fat, red, and that. So it's cool. But that's not cool if you want to make wine out of it, because it's not going to have the concentration that you need. But now, when the vine, what they call stress, so we've put the vine under stress. So if it's already growing in a naturally stressful environment, then its emphasis is going to be on that fruit and making that fruit as edible as possible. Whereas in an environment like here, where it's rich, it'll be like, cool, it'll just jirembesha, it'll make big, broad leaves, it'll grow as tall as possible. Like it has all this energy, and it'll use it for as many things a plant needs as possible. I mean, that would be a by the way. But it wouldn't be a focus it wouldn't be its core focus, because it's going to be like, look, it's abundant anyway. So my species is going to continue by default. Like there's not one bird that's going to come and only eat this. There are hundreds of birds because it's abundant. So let me have the biggest leaves. Let me grow tall. Let me do that. But when you're in a stressed environment, then the vine's like, look, there's probably going to be one animal that comes along, and there's 10 vines here. So if I'm going to continue my life, then I need to be the sweetest, most attractive looking red grape on that tree.
Interesting.
So that is, in a very rudimentary way, the science of it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Now, when it comes to the specific wines, you have white wine and you have red wine.
Right.
Why the fuck can't I eat steak with white wine?
You can.
You can?
Absolutely.
Why are people so... Is what's the word chauvinistic?
Chauvinistic?
About it. So with red wine as well, they are different segments of red wine. The one that I really liked was dessert wine.
I would understand why.
Which is very sweet.
Yes.
But explain to me the different steps and why do people pair them with different foods?
Right. So there is a lot of L-O-R-E law around wine and the culture of wine, and a lot of that is borrowed from haute cuisine or like French cuisine, and is what you call like a natural pairing. So like steak and red wine is a natural pairing. It's a natural pairing because the protein in the wine binds with the protein in the meat binds and the tannin in the wine, which makes it naturally softer. Which that's the scientific part of it. But what it feels like is that when you drink wine and it's sticking to your mouth because it's harsh, but you have a steak with it, it no longer feels that way. That's the natural pairing. So if you want to make it work, if you have to put an easy pairing together, then that works. But not to say you can't derive enjoyment from doing it differently. And where people have gotten stuck is that you get people who don't know as much as they purport to know. So they will go to La Colombe, right? And some there says, yeah, no, this is a perfect pairing, you know, red wine and red meat is the way to do it. And then they leave La Colombe and say, like, I'm a wine guy, I know all about wine. So they tell all their friends, no. And so, it starts becoming ingrained in that way. And so and then it becomes faux pas. Like, oh my God, how are you having steak with that white wine? And genuinely, there are probably white wines that don't go very nicely with steak because just the acid profile is too high and it just doesn't taste nice.
Right.
And ultimately, that's what it should be. It should just taste nice. And so the easiest way to make it taste nice is go with these natural pairings. But there's no rules, and that's the most important thing. People
like what
think
you
there
like.
are rules, yes, but there are no rules. It's a very subjective thing.
And there are different types of red wines.
Yes,
What are those?
there are thousands.
Thousands. Really?
Well,
it doesn't get segmented into like dessert wine,
no
dry. Isn't liquid fucking wet? Why is it called dry wine?
It's a decent question.
Do you get why I'm confused?
I do. I've faced that question before. So, let me start with the first one. Yes, dry sweet is probably one way you can segment the
dry and sweet.
And then what's dry and what's sweet. So then, if you were to sort of look at it as an extreme, as a diagram where on one end is super sweet, like honey, and then the other end is something that's super dry, like a cracker. Most wines will live in the middle of those two. There are very few wines that are as sweet as actually honey is, and there are probably more wines that are super dry. But the predominantly wines will live in the middle of those. And then there are different degrees within that. So you'll have off-dry, semi-sweet. And so that's one way to segment it.
Okay.
And in this instance, dry meaning the opposite of sweet, rather dry being the opposite of wet.
Okay. So that's why dry is very sour when you have it.
Yes.
There's an aftertaste to it as well.
Well,
that stays quite long.
No, kind of. So those are a few different layers now that we'd add to that. So maybe a good way to explain is it's a sensory experience. The enjoyment of wine, the enjoyment of food as well is a sensory experience, and so you will enjoy it in different ways, in different phases, I suppose. When you first put it in your mouth, it's going to taste differently from when you've swallowed it. Which is what you're talking about. That what's technically called an aftertaste. And different wines will leave a different aftertaste, not because of the wine that they are, but because of the way the wine is made, and so ultimately, so dry sweet we've established. When you first taste this wine, is it dry or is it sweet? Okay, and then the other thing you always have in wine is acid. So it's acidity. It's the same with the fruit. If you were to eat an orange, get a green orange, it's quite sour, and lots of acidity, quite a high acid in that. And then you get those really ripe orange grapes, and they're quite sweet. So and so again, if you had that spectrum of extremes, on one side you'd have dry, this time meaning lots of acid, and then sweet, in which case not much acid.
So we've established red wine has dry, and has sweet, and there's everything in between, and different farms and different vineyards play around in those categories for red wine.
Yes.
Now with the pairing of food as well, do as you see fit. Sometimes if you're in a fine dining restaurant, it's the chef and the sommelier.
It would be the sommelier
that picks what makes more sense to that. Okay.
Right.
Moving on to white wine.
Okay.
I just know Sauvignon Blanc.
Good thing to know.
Right. And it sounds sexy when you order it, and people are just like, oh, Mr. Director knows Sauvignon Blanc. Kumbe, I don't know anything. Now explain to me, white wine as well. So is that from the green grape? I see. I'm learning shit,
There you
bro.
go. Yeah,
And does it also have dry and sweet as well?
exactly the same.
And then basically within those two extreme spheres, there's different types of white wines.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, white wine, I think it's paired better with fish, or it doesn't matter.
Again, it's a natural pairing.
And I mean, aside from obviously the physical profile and what you see
Yeah.
visually,
Yeah.
what's the difference between red and white?
Fundamentally, it is something called tannin. So you've got red. So you got the grape, right? And interesting fact: if you squeeze the juice out of 98% of red grapes, the juice is clear, same color as the juice from the white grape. I know. That's a moment. That's one.
So we were talking about the white wines. and
Right.
the
So,
grapes
so I
and-
was explaining. Yeah. So you squeeze the juice, and you'll get the juice will be clear.
right.
There's only very few grapes in the world where you squeeze and the juice is actually red. Right. So the color actually comes from the skins, and so that comes in the process of winemaking. And so what the red skin or that has tannin, and the tannin probably the easiest way to explain it is tea also has tannin. It's a texture. It's like a fine texture that the sensation you feel if you have strungi with no sugar,
Mm.
and you got it feels like it's sticking to your cheeks are sticking to your tongue. The same thing happens if you have the skin of the grape in that way. So what you do is what we call macerated. It's basically like how you make tea. You leave the juice on the skins, and the longer you leave the juice on the skins, the more concentrated it becomes, and so then the redder the darker the redder color you'll get. But then also at the same time, the more tannin you'll extract, and the more concentration you'd extract, and the more flavor you'd extract. But there's a sweet spot to it. You can over extract, and then it gets to the point where it starts to become bitter. So the job of the winemaker is to have the skill to understand when to stop and how to stop. And what would inform that would be now we talked about in the middle, the many different things in the middle. It'll be what type of wine is he trying to make, or she. So if you're trying to make something that is big, bold, and full, then you'd have a very long extraction because you want to try and get as much out of those skins as possible. If you want to make something that's light and fresh, then you'd keep it on the skins for a very short time, and then you just extract just the basic flavor without necessarily getting the skin and that. So it's very similar to cooking. Like when you're in the kitchen and you're thinking, you got a piece of chicken, you're like, cool, how am I going to make this chicken? Am I just going to put salt and boil it? Or am I gonna marinate it and cook it in a tandoor and make like a chicken tikka? I mean, there's a whole realm of things you can do, and that's what a winemaker faces. When the winemaker's looking at this wine, he'll get his crop and be like, "Cool, I want to make this wine like this." Then they will follow the steps to make a wine come out in that style, and all that stuff can then be manipulated. So if you want it to be sweeter, then there are things you would do both in the vineyard and the cellar that would allow the wine to come out sweeter. If you want it to be super dry, it's exactly the same thing.
When you store wine in the cellar, the longer you store it, does it become better or not necessarily? Because I've seen cases where people are like, "This is 100-year-old vintage wine."
Right. So time is good for wine, but too much of anything is bad.
So sorry, Spence. I think this is the Jumia guy. Babe,
Yeah,
could you just
cool.
take this?
No stress.
I'm just sharing with you. Just American call that first number. Sorry for that.
No, chill. So if I was to explain it to you as a process, the process technical name is micro-oxidation,
Micro-oxidation.
which is oxidation on a small scale. Now, if you were to bite an apple and you leave it, put it over here on this stool, and you go away and come back, it turns brown, becomes softer. The biological process that's caused that to happen is micro-oxidation. Now, with your apple, you don't want that. You want a hard, crisp apple. That's where you derive the pleasure from eating it.
Right.
But if you're a person who enjoyed a soft,
Soggy apple.
soggy apple, then you would deliberately do that. You'd cut it open and leave it there, so and allow that process to happen. So that's essentially speaking what time is doing to the wine in the cellar. The micro-oxidation is acting upon it, which is allowing certain things inside the wine to soften. And ultimately you reach what we call the optimum drinking window, which is the time that the wine is showing absolutely at its best. Many times, especially with the commercial pressure that we have right now, we drink wines very young. Traditionally, that never used to happen.
Just so you can rotate it quicker and make a
Absolutely,
it's the business side of it.
it's a supply and demand thing.
Okay.
And so vintages have become much shorter, where historically normally it wouldn't be unusual to keep wine for 4 or 5 years before you'd open it, because that's what you're waiting for. You're allowing that micro-oxidation to happen. But like anything else, the wine industry is adapting and it's changing with time. So now winemakers are deliberately making wines to be drinkable or to reach their optimum drinking window faster.
And this is through technology being involved. So because normally it's a very manual process, barrels.
Yeah.
But are you now having people bring in the laboratory and science and equipment?
Yeah.
To maybe
to a point, it's still a very traditional industry. It's still, I think a lot of the benchmarks still pride themselves in doing things in a very traditional manner.
Right.
But of course, there's a commercial element in mass volume production. You know, like I'll get the stat wrong. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but the majority of the wine that's drunk and produced in this world is easy drinking and under, I think the number was under $5 a bottle.
Right.
And that stuff, that's commercial. That's like any other style of commercial farming. You are trying to get as big a yield as possible, as healthy a yield as possible, and then turn it around as efficiently as possible, so that then you can put in a bottle and put it on the shelves in the supermarket for, in a Kenyan situation, under 1,500 bob.
Okay.
And that's what most people drink.
So one of the differentiating factors in pricing is basically that period of waiting. You can say the gestation period.
Yeah, I mean, process. Of which that is a large part of the process.
There's a sommelier who puts on the Ray-Ban glasses and he serves people vintage wines. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
I haven't actually, but it sounds cool.
I'm not sure if I can find that video because I just came across it. But he serves like a 60, 70-year-old bottle of wine. And when he opens the cork, he actually has to sieve the wine through something, as there's
this the cork sediment, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a 1920s bottle or something of the sort. Does wine last that long?
I'd love to see. That's old. That is old.
Maybe I'm getting it wrong. Maybe it's 1960s or something.
Yeah. So the different styles of wine. So if you'd be maybe serving a fortified wine, so like a port, then that wouldn't be unusual.
Yeah, but you said it's a port wine.
Yeah. So that's a young port, to be honest.
What the fuck is a port wine?
So a port wine is a fortified wine. So it's fortified means to make stronger, and it's a process of making a wine where you make wine normally and then you add neutral spirit to it.
Right.
And then you age that, and the neutral spirit helps preserve the wine over a long period of time.
Okay.
But because of the micro-oxidation, it's a really cool process. The wine is aging, but is still being kept fresh or sanitized by that. So some of the most sensational wines you could taste are old ports. They take on a whole new form.
Sorry, baby, you're saying I couldn't hear you. What were you saying?
Ranjit had shown us. I actually took a photo. It was.
Oh, really?
Jacob's Creek Rare Aged Tawny.
Yeah. That's an Australian producer.
Very interesting.
Yes. Did you actually physically see that bottle?
Yeah. It's there.
That's awesome. That's really
my
awesome,
former boss. He invited us to his house.
Right.
We can put this up here on the screen.
Yeah.
Is that rare?
That would be rare, yeah. So it's a tawny.
Fucking tasted like gasoline with grapes, bro.
Did it?
It was quite strong.
Did you? Okay, so you actually tasted it.
It was sweet. It was strong, but it's very thick. But it is like thick. The thickness, the viscosity. Syrup. Syrup like.
Yeah. I mean, it's so micro-oxidations happen. So there'll also be some evaporation that'll take place over that. So that becomes an extremely concentrated beverage. And so then what also will happen, just like any other food, like when it's young, it's sweet. Then it starts to get older. It becomes like fraught, and then then the sweetness completely disappears. You know, like if you keep a fruit for too long on your own, even in your fruit basket, that's what's happening.
Yes.
But in this instance, you want that to be a desirable flavor. But with something like that, you're not likely to be drinking. The idea isn't to drink a glass of that.
Okay.
That's
for
for
very
food.
special occasions.
Yes.
and
No, that's for food.
Oh, this is specifically
That's
for food.
something. Yeah, that's something you want to enjoy with. And that's an interesting part of wine culture that has disappeared or is beginning to disappear in the way we live our lives these days. Like traditionally, wine was an accompaniment to a meal. In the traditional market, or where wine's heartlands or homelands was in France, in old world Europe, people would eat meals as a family, and there'd be wine. There'd always be wine. Like that's a whole other tangent we can discuss, which is wine culture.
Yes, please.
And how we as Africans don't really have wine culture. And so that really makes them, a child is 8-9 years old, they're already been exposed to wine because wine was part of the meal. But they wouldn't drink wine like this, knock glasses back.
To get wasted.
Yeah, no, it would be part of, to get wasted, they drink other stuff. And your traditional Italian meal would end with a grappa or a limoncello to finish the meal. And that was the strong alcoholic beverage. But throughout the meal, you'd have had different wines, which would accompany the dishes. And in a completely gastronomic way, in some instances, they'd be almost like an additional sauce. Like the wine is a second sauce to the dish. If you had something as basic as a spaghetti bolognese, you'd make it with the wine. You could use the wine to cook. You'd drink the wine with the same wine that you cooked with in that, and that completes the entire experience.
Okay.
And you're adding flavors, so you're making your mundane Monday dinner an occasion, and the whole family would generally come together and relations, and that's how traditionally wine always was enjoyed.
Okay. Versus your blankets and wine way, well, which is not bad. People, I guess, get educated on that side. Another question, and pardon me because my lack of knowledge, but I see people pouring wine into something that airs it out. What do you
Yes.
call that? And
It's called a decanter.
a decanter.
Yeah, and
What-
it accelerates microoxidation.
The fuck? Like, what?
What we described there, the microoxidation, the act of the oxygen.
Yeah, being exposed to it. And so,
yes.
how long do you leave it out for?
It depends. So there are different types of decanters. You have decanters specific to aeration, in which case you want to
Like, we
Yeah,
can
with
put
much
a
longer.
decanter over here.
Yeah, it did. So you have like the ones with the long neck, which will allow a faster interaction between oxygen and the wine.
Yeah.
So you'd like want to do that with a younger wine, because you want to speed up that process of reaching that drinking window. So you do that, and then with much older wine, like that port, for example, you'd put it in a much bigger, a flatter decanter, which won't allow for a rapid interaction of oxygen, but will allow the oxygen to interact over a larger surface area. And in that instance, what you're trying to do then is that this wine has been in this bottle for however decades, and so it's like, I mean, if you had to sit in the same position for decades,
Yeah.
if you got the last thing, what you'd want is to be spread out as widely as possible and
So it
stretched.
opens.
So you're opening it up. Nice one. So that's the thinking behind it. So
Okay.
yeah, so you use decanters for that reason.
Now, what are the main regions of wine globally?
So obviously commercially, France is much like with cuisine. A lot of wine culture has been dictated from France, and so the French regions remain and still are the ultimate benchmarks and benchmark examples of where wine comes from. But of course, over time, that's changing. Between France, Italy, and Spain, they compete to be the biggest producers of wine in the world and it varies from year to year. They also, Italy, Spain, France, generally have a very old wild wine culture, and they all grow their own indigenous varietals, which have become planted widely the world over and have become what I told you earlier, the noble varietals. Then in the New World, as time has evolved, what they call the New World, mostly the Southern Hemisphere and America, have also started to grow wine, and wine of great quality and acclaim. And so Australia is seen to produce examples of really good wine. America, examples of really good and expensive wine.
America, within California, there are certain segments.
So an interesting fact: wine grows in every state. There's wine grown in every state in America, but Napa is the mecca. That's the best known region for wine production. But there is fantastic examples from other parts of America.
Okay, which other country then? In Africa, I guess South Africa is the.
South Africa is the biggest wine producer from the African continent. There is wine in Morocco as well.
It's wine in Morocco.
Yeah. There's actually some really interesting media out at the moment about the old ancient wines from time immemorial, originating from the north of Africa.
Okay.
And stories of Cleopatra and the wine that she drank and stuff. That was all one of the oldest grape varieties, Muscat d'Alexandrie, has its origins from Egypt. There's a controversial but cool thing. You should look at it, find it on YouTube, about, I think it was Algerian wine, and them being the biggest suppliers to wine to the French hundreds of years ago, and then Colombe and whatever happens, that was stopped. So there's a documented history,
right?
An interesting history of wine being grown in Africa. But referencing what we spoke about earlier about how wine grows as a vine, wine thrives 22.5 degrees of north of Capricorn and 22.5 degrees south of Cancer, the Tropic of Cancer. Those, if you divided the world into that's top and the bottom, and then in the middle, you don't have the correct seasonality.
So the equator.
Yes. So close to the equator you are, it's generally equal. So that's what we enjoy here in Nairobi. I always joke, when you live in Kenya, you can get away with owning one pair of jeans and you can wear them pretty much year round. If you live in any of those extremes, you literally need a winter.
Correct.
You need a winter wardrobe and a summer wardrobe, and that's the environment where grapes will thrive. So predominantly in the middle, right, throughout Africa, you don't have that seasonality, which will allow grapes to grow well. But in South Africa, at the bottom of South Africa, I will add, you will have that, and that's why literally 99% of all wine from South Africa comes from one province.
Do you remember Kenya Wine Agency Limited?
Yes.
Did they grow locally, the wines here?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay.
They would bottle here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but they would get the grapes from elsewhere.
Yeah.
Whereabouts would they get them?
South Africa was a big supplier to them.
I wonder how your Vivino app looks like. You must
I
have
don't use it.
You don't use it?
No.
Fucking everyone I met.
I know.
It's like, let's scan this bottle, scan the rating.
That's on me more than
and then you
anything else.
get ranked amongst your friends who has scanned the most amount of wine, who has drank the most. We can put up Vivino over here.
Yeah.
It's become a huge thing where
Monstrous.
I got into it just to I'd fucking go to the airport and scan all the wine bottles and share with everyone.
But you'd have to give like a tasting note or what you thought of it.
What are your favorite wines?
I thought you might ask that. So I think a really important thing about wine and the enjoyment of wine is it's a sensorial experience of doing it, right? So I can attach some incredible memories to a bottle of wine that I enjoyed with the people I was with or the places that I was. Not to say, if I bought that wine again, I'd enjoy it as much. And I think that's for me one of the things that makes it such a special product. And I always joke, people in the industry don't enjoy it too much. But like, if you have a beer, if you have a Tusker, it's a Tusker. It's a Tusker. It tastes the same. It's always the same. So you'd be like, hey, what were you drinking that day? Oh, I'm drinking beer. Okay, cool. And you move on. But like, I can take and tell you stories of places I've been with my wife, or even with my kids, and remember to that exact bottle of wine I was drinking. And the thing is, if ever I see it again, it takes me straight back to that moment,
Right.
and that's incredibly special.
The sensory experience,
yeah.
right?
Then that's incredibly special.
So are there any recommended maybe top 3 bottles you'd say stand out for you in particular?
No.
Oh, it's
Interestingly,
it's
no,
very, very
no. And I think maybe I've been. It's something I've always lived towards, worked with. Is what's gotten me this far is the curiosity. It's being that natural curiosity to always want to do something different and try something different.
Right.
And I'll tell you this much: I very rarely drink the same wine. Even like at my cellar at home, I very rarely will have the same wines on rotation in my cellar. I mean, there'll be some things I know and I like, and after like a few months I do it. But you wouldn't come to my house and find a particular bottle of wine all the time.
How many bottles you have stored?
It's a good question. I don't actually know. I probably in the just a couple, maybe about 1,000 odd.
Last question. Actually, not last question before I give you the
Wait,
thing.
did you just skip over him saying he has 1,000 bottles?
Yeah, I did. That's what I was going to ask. This was follow-up questions. You let me finish.
Sorry.
Can I just say that 1,000 is actually not? It's not a particularly outstanding number. I mean, I know.
Do you have a picture of the room? Can we?
No, so I don't store all my wine at home.
Okay.
So I have
Store it in the fucking bank. Some of these.
Well, some of them are actually. I mean, so that's a whole other thing. But wine is a store of value.
Yeah,
is
exactly. They
a thing
appreciate,
now,
right?
and then provenance becomes really important if you want to use it as a store of value.
Are you going to save a bottle for your son?
Oh yeah.
And-
And my daughter, and that's there's a particular wine I have for them, it's a really special South African wine, and they engrave whatever you want them to engrave on the label. So I've got some for my kids for that reason.
Okay.
But the question of provenance is like, if I say like, I have this product, it's the same one that I drank on the podcast, and then cool, that's amazing. And I become a big deal guy, and then you go on the internet and say, hey, I still have that bottle that really big deal guy drank in that podcast. And the first question someone will ask you is, prove it. How do you know it's the same bottle? It looks like it's your normal Asturian water. And so that's provenance. And so from a wine perspective, if a wine goes on to do really well in the awards competition, then it's that particular vintage that got 100 points. Not just that wine, it's that wine of that vintage. So you have to have that. And then you have to know that it was stored properly. Because if I'm going to spend a ton of money to buy it from you, and then I open it and it's shit, I'll be incredibly upset. Now, I can't guarantee that it will or it won't, but I can guarantee that I've stored it properly. And so there's a place in South Africa that, in Cape Town, where they store bottles for you. So,
Okay, dumb question. I'm referencing our time in
Please, no.
Saints. But when we went to receive communion,
nah.
the wine they gave,
Yeah.
that was alcoholic wine.
Yeah, it's called Alto wine. It's probably one of the biggest SKUs in the
Bro,
world.
that Alto wine, I'd go. Us as Saints, we were bad guys. I think that bottle we managed to steal it.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh,
because I was like, okay, fine, I want to taste the bread,
right.
and then I'm sure Eric has done this as well. And we were like, let's beba the bottle. So we snuck into
But
church.
how did you get the bottle?
They normally used to keep it at the church in the corner.
Really?
Yeah,
You guys stole the bottle?
yeah, we
Oh,
stole the
my
bottle. I didn't feel anything at the time. I think because we were like 7 guys all taking a sip from it, just trying to try it. So that was
What did you do with the bottle?
the blood of Christ. We had two other things, bro.
How did you dispose of it?
Well, obviously. So you remember the church where the pastor used to talk, and then
Yes,
the altar boys used to come in from the right.
yes.
Behind there was a room where everyone was
Yes,
sing.
yes.
Yeah, bro.
Like-
Seriously, Saints. So you were streaking, I was drinking.
There you go. Upstanding citizens they produced from Saint.
I want to talk about the sommelier aspect
Yeah.
now. But you guys Fazal, did you have any questions?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Do you have a bottle of wine that you want to try? Since you said you don't have a
wow,
favorite.
That's a great question. Hey, I've never been asked that before. Yeah, loads. There are loads. Yes.
Could you give us like your number one, your white whale? That one day you'll travel to wherever it is, to whichever restaurant, wait on that waiting list to try that wine.
Man, that's a very, very good question.
Church wine.
Sajid said that. Yeah, no, wait, I'd have to give that. Maybe just to close my own story full circle. It's a part of France I've never been, which is it's Alsace. It's in the north of France. It's a part of France that was once belonged to Germany, once belonged to France, and they make Gewürztraminer. That's the home of where Gewürztraminer came from. And I don't know any particular producer, but I think I'd love to drink Gewürztraminer in Alsace. I think that would be a really nice full circle moment for me. And I think I believe it's one of the most beautiful wine destinations in the world. So it's definitely on the bucket list.
Can I ask more questions? Are you going to continue on?
Please, by all means.
So
As long as it keeps you off your fucking phone.
I was getting notes and something else. I was getting notes for the question over here.
Bastard guy. Collins, what are the shirts we are printing? What I say? Give Collins the mic so people can hear. What the shirt we're giving Faza? It says, what's the tagline?
King fucker.
King fucker.
You know, there's a meme of like, if you're being held hostage, blink. Blinking a lot.
One thing I ask
I don't
is,
wanna be-
if you're at dinner having wine with guests, put your phone away. If you're in a podcast talking about wine with guests, what do we do?
Phone away.
Yeah,
I'll
unless
tell you after that. But there's people messaging me for you, me getting notes for other things and for questions. Anyways, follow.
Spence, was I too tough on the guy?
Listen, I don't know. This is your.
This is like me and Spence asking, like, should we streak or whether? And he's like, wait, what? More questions.
Okay, so with the whole sommelier thing, is it like you've passed the exam and everything, right? Do they actually give you that cup that you put around your neck?
No.
They don't actually.
No, you get a pin, and pins. Different pins mean different things. So I have it's called ASI diploma, which is the Association della Sommelier International diploma. There are only 2 people in all of Africa who have it. So both of us are in Cape Town.
Really?
Yeah. So that's my
That's dope.
Yeah, so that's my highest qualification. It's quite a cool one because the diploma is split into 3. You get a gold, silver, and bronze. Ideally, you're supposed to do it in your second language. So the idea being that if you're going to be a wine professional, it's very Eurocentric, but if you're going to be a wine professional and you're French speaking and you're working in Italy, you should be able to do that excellent service in Italian as well as French. So to be able to get a gold diploma, you need to be able to do it in your foreign language. So I did it in English because I only know how to speak English. So I could only get a bronze diploma.
So if you want to get gold or silver, you need to speak either Italian or French.
Well, there's Italian, French. I think they're allowing Mandarin now. I'm not too sure. But yeah, it just can't be the language that I learned. Well, I could do it in English.
What about
if I wasn't English speaking?
What about Indian English? Because India is apparently becoming one of the biggest.
So
consumers of
India's
wine.
a great story. Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah,
India's a massive market. So actually, interestingly, the wine industry is under tremendous pressure at the moment. I think the entire alcohol industry is under tremendous pressure at the moment. People aren't drinking much anymore, which is it's tough. For various reasons.
Is it because of health?
Yeah, health is a big one. What I personally, this is not documented or anything, but it's my own opinion. Is exactly what I talked about earlier. It's just the way we live our lives no longer allows for that. These days you get food on the go, you get drive-throughs, you get ready-made meals, you get that opportunity to sit down and drink a bottle of wine or glass of wine with your food doesn't happen. I mean, think about, guys, when was the last time you were able to do that?
So you must think wine in cans are abomination, right?
No, not at all. In fact, I have some with me now. Wines in cans are great.
Really? Let's bring it out. Let's give Fazza some.
When with me, I mean in Nairobi in this trip, and that's exactly why, because it's so convenient to travel with. You wouldn't maybe put there's some nuance around aging a bottle or aging a wine in a bottle under a cork, or just aging a wine in a bottle generally. And there's some unproven things with cans still, that you wouldn't put a very expensive wine in a can. But in terms of just wine for pure enjoyment, the cans are great, man.
But it's changing culturally as well. So
Yeah.
I didn't think about it that way, but it's true.
Hmm.
Uber Eats,
Yeah.
completely changing the way we eat and deliver food. You don't get those family homemade meals often where you
No.
can sit down, enjoy a bottle of wine.
Absolutely.
Probably religion is a big hindrance for us. Being Muslims, we shouldn't be drinking.
Yeah, no.
You know,
As if that's ever stopped you before.
I don't drink. The only time I drank was in church, and it
That's-
was,
that's
I was-
Of course, yes.
I was a young guy in Saints.
The only time you drank is when you stole wine from inside the church.
And it was such a traumatic experience. He never touched a bottle ever again.
Mind you, for those saying, look at this Muslim guy going to church. By the way,
That was
I was with 6 other Catholic boys. And on Ash Wednesday we all got the
Yeah,
cross.
church was mandatory. It's so funny. I was trying to explain that to my kids.
Yeah, all the prayers we used to say. When I started, I used to say the Muslim prayers. I was like, you know what? There are 1,000 of the kids saying "Our Father, hallowed be thy name." Thy kingdom come. Let's just say it.
Just do it.
Every morning we used to do it. And then Tuesdays we used to do Hail Mary. Remember? Why was it on Tuesday specifically we used to say Hail Mary?
I don't know. I think they just wanted to switch things up.
And then Friday was Friday
Our
was
Father again at the
Our Father
assembly.
again.
Yeah. Monday, Friday.
Interesting. Finally, at one point in Saints, they hired an imam
No ways.
to come and give us lectures, and it was in one of the Form 2 classes.
Oh.
And the first class I went for, I was like, "Fuck this! I'm never coming back. This shit is
They used to
boring."
call it. He used to call it pastoral studies or something.
Pastoral
like that.
studies,
Yeah,
remember?
it was like an actual subject.
Yeah, so I started bouncing between classes. I went to the Hindu teacher. Used to be some lady who just used to let the guys play around. So I was like, I'm a Hindu this week.
We worked out you could be a Jehovah's
Yeah.
Witness because there was never.
And then I think it was either Mr. Otieno or Mr. Ocholo who came. He's like, "Vayani, you're not a Hindu. What are you doing here? Toka." Then I went to the sing class. The sing classes was with Hitesh and all these guys. The guy would come in, he'd talk about stories, and then you purposely ask him a random question about football. The whole
that's
class would talk
trajectory, go
about football. So we went to that class, stayed there for a month. The teacher's like, "Tu Sardar hai?" He's like, "You see? I'm like a Muslim." He's like, "Bounce." Went back to church. Guys busted me again. Sister Jerome kicked me out, sent me to the Muslim. So I got stuck. And the guy used to make us pray. He's like, "I know you guys are not going to pray the afternoon prayer, so pray now." And you have to remove your socks. You have to wash your hands. I was like, dude, it's the worst thing. Sorry, Collins, you had a question.
It's so funny.
I have a question.
Yo, Collins.
It's probably a tangent though.
That's fine.
So-
I like that.
It's maybe a misconception that wine, when a man drinks wine and a woman drinks wine, it treats them differently. Like men tend to get more drunk faster when they drink wine, and women don't. And the headache that happens for men is something about tannin. I'm just asking.
Collins, I must have never heard of that particular question before. So I don't know. No, I've never heard that before. But along those lines, the headache you get is if you drink too much. I think standard, like of anything. The thing about wine is that you've got a combination of both alcohol and sugar at the same time, which double acts or will dehydrate you much faster, and then the headache is caused by dehydration. Biologically, that's it. There's interesting studies now, and I don't know if that might be within those, but like people are finding that there's a histamine in red wine, particularly that some people are allergic to. So that's something that's a new area that's being explored. But I don't know about it affecting wine affecting men and women differently. That's a new one.
Which is the alcohol where if you consume it, it actually helps heal a flu or a cough that you have? Is that brandy?
Yeah.
It's brandy.
Does wine have any medicinal properties?
Well, they say if you drink red wine, you add something like a few minutes to your life for every glass of red wine you drink. Maybe that's just what the sales pitch is.
So I'm on 6 additional minutes.
Oh, there you go. Well done.
There are studies
for the
showing
rest
that,
of
there are studies that show that wine helps. Like I don't remember exactly, but it does help with like.
This is a good time I can ask you to use your phone to search for the benefits without giving you shit for it.
Where's your slipper? I want to make sure it's not nearby.
Could you just search benefits health benefits of wine?
So I think the one which is probably a catch-all, which is that it is a relaxing. I mean, alcohol does numb your senses and it does relax you, and that will help. Like, I mean, so like, there was a time I learned this very recently. Doctors would prescribe cigarettes.
Really?
Yes. Medically, they would, and that's why, because cigarettes would ease stress. And so if you were under tension, if you were combat hypertension, or if you were a person who's particularly anxious or tense, they like, here, have a cigarette, it'll make you chill out. That's why they would like allow people to smoke in aeroplanes and stuff. Because the people who are anxious, it was that. And it was way before they found the
What a fucking time to be alive.
I
Eh?
can add here.
Like just referencing, the story. I remember traveling with dad either to Egypt or UK when we were kids, and the smoking section was at the back.
Yeah.
So I'd gone to the washroom, and as I come back, you just see this heavy
Like
plume of smoke just hovering over there, and all
Nice.
these men are smoking and relaxing, and it was the most comfortable I've seen these lot of men. They were like maybe 4 or 5 guys. They'd taken the entire back section, smoking, and they were quiet. I remember taking that same trip with my dad when smoking quit, bro.
carnage.
Just fidgeting, trying to find something to chew on. Completely different vibe at the plane, you know.
So if I can add there, I have a relative who went to Pakistan in the 80s, and she picked up smoking. And the reason she did it is they were like, when you're there and it's so cold, you smoke to help warm you up. So it's the same thing with even like with the wine thing. When I looked into it, is people who drink wine and are like 1-2 glasses a day live longer and are less risk of stroke, heart attack, and mortality than people who drink other alcohols. But if you don't drink, you still live longer than everyone else.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with like the cigarettes is, yes, if you're going to be anxious and whatever, this will help you there. But too much of this is also going to give you lung cancer.
Yeah.
Right. So everything
fair
in
enough.
everything in portion.
Everything
right?
in moderation.
In moderation.
Absolutely.
Because it gets extreme. Cigarettes, though, do you guys notice it's making a comeback
Yes. Big time.
culturally
Man,
as well?
Yeah, I
Yeah?
was at Sajid Center yesterday. Yes, I was at Sajid Center yesterday. I can't remember the name of the restaurant. Something lounge, summer lounge.
Mm.
They have a smoking section, literally, and it wasn't empty. It was like guys doing their thing there, and like literally people were specifically going to sit there because they
Bro.
wanted to smoke.
One of the greatest sensations is Dunhill Switch, the menthol. I know people say menthol is there, but man, menthol cigarettes, bro. When you take it and it hits you, life is good. You know, Fazaz's on his phone. We don't mind. You know, if I started smoking cigarettes, Fazza wouldn't be getting all that shit, right?
You tell him in a very relaxed
Yeah,
manner to
hey,
please stay off your
please
phone
stay off
while
your
we're
phone.
on
I
there.
have patches and gum at home. Do you want?
No,
Will it help?
not nicotine
I'll
patches.
stick a patch on the back of his head. You won't even know. Like,
Not
yes.
nicotine patches. Tamara, you're saying?
It would be 10 times worse if you haven't had a cigarette. Then Fazar would probably die.
Ooh, yeah, Fazza would probably be.
I just be
thrown out
walking
the
around with a carton in my bag. If they stop me, it's for my mental health. You smoke? No, it's for my boss.
I wanted to dive in a bit and learn a bit more about the sommelier. Is that okay, you guys?
Me still have questions. Okay, sommelier related ones.
Sure, because I want to understand
Right.
the process you have to go through if you want to be hired as a sommelier at a restaurant globally. You see, the thing is, there's very distinct nuances that come to that specific role. That's what I wanted to get into and understanding the business side of it, because I don't see many in Kenya, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
well,
maybe you have a
So
specific.
mine are still wine related.
Okay, so let's get through the wine questions and then.
Okay, and I'll jump back on that.
Yeah.
Good question.
Okay.
Yeah, shoot.
So I know South Africa is a very big wine culture. I have a friend goes to South Africa, every time she comes back, 4 bottles,
Nice.
always. But
You know, there's a 2-limit bottle carry, so she's doing it illegally. Can we
Purposely,
put
yeah.
up her ID over here? So for
So,
anyone,
unless she's traveling with someone.
yeah.
yes, the whole flight crew. So when you, like you said, you don't really have a favorite wine. You just
Yeah.
go, you try things. But have you ever tried the same wine but from different vintages to see?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was hoping, do you ever do research into the vintages? Like you say, a 77 was a good year, so you want to try like a 79, 78, something like. If you could talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, I'm very privileged. One of the things I do is I judge wine competitions in South Africa, and done a couple internationally as well. And so there's a lot of that's a different thing, but you're taught to professionally assess wine, and then I guess you almost start doing it by default. So, yes, you would look for comparative differences from vintage to vintage, because again, that's one of the things that makes wine really special. As I said before, if you drink a beer this year, you drink a beer next year, it still tastes like beer. But every vintage, that wine will be different and will speak to the different things that happened in that particular year. Now, in South Africa, we don't have what's called vintage variation, which is exactly as There's variation between the vintages. We don't have an extreme vintage variation because our conditions are fairly similar year on year. But there is nuance. Like, I mean, we had a very long drought there. And so bookmarking the wines around those drought years is really interesting. Like the wines during drought, ones just after and just before. And so then we've had very wet vintages, like particularly years where it's rained a lot during harvest season.
And you can taste the differences.
Yeah. Very much so. Very much so. But that's like you learn to assess in that way. Then and drinking for enjoyment. You're literally looking for particular things. We're talking about that spectrum of sweet and acidity and that sort of thing. So you're learning to professionally do that all the time. Sometimes you just have to try to switch it off and like I just want to enjoy just what's in front of you. Then nagging thing in the back of your head, you're like, oh, I wonder why this one's like this. I wonder. It's like this is not super concentrated. It was not as concentrated as I remember. I wonder if this might have been a wetter vintage, because the concentration's not. So stuff like that happens. You get that very often. Now in Europe they have in the old world they have very distinct differences from vintage to vintage. In fact, some vintages they don't even have a vintage because the weather conditions were particularly extreme. So when I was studying actively, like studying for the diploma, I had a better memory of what the vintages were because that's the stuff you examined on. But like anything else, it's so if you're not really using it, it kind of it's in the back of my head somewhere. But
you just have to revisit it.
Yeah. But yes, then you know what was a good year and maybe what wasn't.
And on the same front, 'cause you did touch on it, do you ever sometimes feel that because of the knowledge you have on wine, sometimes it takes away some of the enjoyment?
Yeah.
You go to a restaurant, you get a wine, and either you're not happy with it or
you go to the restaurant and everyone gives you the wine list. They're like, you choose the wine.
that one as well.
Me again, right? Yeah. Often, I mean, it's a voice. It's almost a voice you have to sometimes switch off, and just enjoy it for enjoyment's sake. But again, I think it's like any other job, and I guess for me it is a job. So it's interesting. When I was younger, you do like a wine competition, so you taste maybe 70 wines in the day.
Jesus.
Then you'd go back home and be like, oh cool, I wanna drink something else now. Like I don't really feel like, or it's almost you almost learn over time to switch that off, and go like, now I've gone home and I just want to drink a glass of wine to give me joy more than to think about it, because I've been literally thinking about it all day long.
I think that's enough for my questions on the wine. Back to you, Sajid.
Yeah, no.
In the studio.
Do you find yourself thinking about wine often, or can you just tune it off? Like, what's the longest you've gone without a glass of wine?
So yeah, that's a good question. There was a point in my life where I always like, you kind of go, there's a very fine line between becoming dependent on it, and in your line, you slowly you get to a point it happens and you don't realize it, and I want to always know that I have that awareness. So I tried for a while, like then I do like I'm gonna go 1 month without drinking unless I'm in a professional environment. But then I got kids and I was stressed. I was like, no, I'm punishing myself not having a glass of wine for a fixed period of time. But I do know in my head, like I need to know that I won't drink because I don't want to drink, and not ever feel like I need to drink because I need to drink. And so I try and do that as often as possible. So even in like during the week, I try to do 2 dry days a week or 3 dry days a week. And that's
so meaning you have 3 dry wines in that week.
That's a moment. There it is.
Look at these guys, so slow. So
you should
slow.
hire me to press your button.
Leave that fucking button with us over here.
We weren't looking at the button. We were kind of getting your attention because he had a question.
So as a wine drinker, you exclusively drink wine?
No. I drink everything.
Okay.
And to be a sommelier, you actually need to have experience in everything. To pass that exam, you've got to have good knowledge of.
What are the exams like? Do they ask you questions, or do they lay dishes in front of you and
everything? So the exam is the diploma exam is incredibly intense. It takes about almost half a day to do. There's 6 components to it, if I remember correctly. There's a tasting component. where you blind taste the wine and have to write what's called an organoleptic tasting, which is a full sensory tasting of the wine, and then finish with a food pairing and how you'd serve it, what glass you'd serve it in, and all of that. I think you have like 7 minutes to do 2 wines, which is intense because you got to be very clear in your structure of how you write. Then you do a theory exam. I think it's about an hour and a half, and then you do a very short dissertation. So there'd be an interesting topic, like something that's quite probably like now one of the topics they talk about is how in a world where people are drinking less, as a sommelier, how do you see your role evolve?
Right.
So then you have to come up with can't remember, man, probably like maybe 700 words or something to answer that question. Then there's a food and wine component where you'll have food presented with you in front of you, and yeah, with wine you talk about it and the strength of it as a pairing, or you would have food like sometimes you do like wine and cheese and you go 3 wines 3 cheeses, make the pairing and justify them. Then there'd be a commercial question, which is like a full on commercial question, and then that would come in as so they'd like do a role play service scenario. Where you have to serve a table of 4 guests, and they all want something different. One guy wants a cocktail, one guy wants a decanted wine, and then someone doesn't want anything alcoholic, and you are now under that pressure. You need to serve it, and then they'll be asking you questions about that. So that's the role playing part of it. So yeah, so there's several elements to the exam, and then
And you get your feedback then and there. After
no. So it's quite cool with the ASI. The exam is done all over the world on the same day.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so different time zones and different things, but we all do the exam on the same day, and then it takes like 3 months to get your feedback.
Are there any trends you've seen within the wine culture that maybe you don't agree with, that you see folks do at restaurants and you're like, no, this is...
Yeah, man, loads.
Tell me about those.
I mean, the one you referenced earlier, like the whole the rigidity around red wine and white wine. That's actually quite a bugbear, because I think that puts a lot of people off. Because the guy comes along and is like, no, I'm enjoying this sweet white wine. I'm enjoying it enough that I'm going to buy 3 bottles of it and I'm going to have it with my meal. Then someone comes along and it's like, oh, you can't do that. You just literally, of course, the wine industry, 3 bottles of wine that could have been consumed because your uppityness. So that's I find that really annoying. We talked about my wine journey at the beginning. I stumbled upon it. And I didn't have, I suppose, the handicap of tradition and things like that. Like, it was just you explore and you learn, and that was very freeing because you could just do it. And I love that experience for most people, because there are more people who don't drink wine than people who do drink wine. And if you cut all that bullshit away about the rituals and then this should be like this and this should be like that, it completely, I feel, takes so much away from
right.
what is ultimately a subjective experience.
So the snobbishness about the wine
Yeah,
aspect,
yeah.
if someone enjoys, like me, a sweet wine and I want to have it with my fucking bloody steak,
Yeah, man,
let me.
do it because the joy that you'll derive from that is completely subjective. Now,
Not that
my
I
job,
drink, by the way.
that one
Yeah.
alto wine. You're probably thinking
Yeah.
this would go well with a steak.
This is all hypotheticals.
So interesting, and maybe that question you asked earlier. So my job as a sommelier, if I was to encounter you at the table and you're like, cool, I like a sweet wine, but I've ordered this steak. I'm like, cool, that's great. That was no problem. Let me recommend something that I think you will like.
Yeah.
That's my role, right? So now it's for me understanding your palate, your perspective, what's floating your boat, right? So now if I'm like, this guy looks like he has shrooms, let me try and sell him the most expensive wine, then you'll hate it and you'll hate that experience, and then it might put you off wine forever. But I'm like, cool, this guy seems to like sweeter wines, and I've got this red wine. It's not sweet. It's not a sweet red wine, but it is aromatic, or it's got and nuances of sweetness that I think work really nicely with this steak.
Yes.
With this steak particularly, right? And then I would then say, cool, why don't you, listen, you got that wine, absolutely, no problem, enjoy it, but can I recommend that you try something?
Right.
On me, not on you. Just taste it. Let me know what you think. And see if you enjoy it. And the thing is with sweetness in wine, you can bring that sweetness in like I said, it's a process in the process of production. So maybe I'll get like a heavily toasted barrel wine that has those chocolatey, coffee mocha flavors that are very identifiable. And then I give you that to have with your steak, just a half a glass of that, and like, what do you think? And that could blow you away. It could change your life forever. And you go suddenly, actually, you go back to your sweet wine and realize, I don't really enjoy it with this steak as much as this red wine. And that's your role as a sommelier. That's what you're supposed to do. You know, it's not supposed to be me judging you standing over the table saying, "Shh, pleb." It's not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be me guiding you through a wine journey. And then the next time you come, you're like, man, that was such a cool experience. I really enjoyed it. Today I'm having the fish. I trust you now. What do you think would be nice?
Okay.
And so then I'm like, cool. And then for me, I look forward to you coming because I'm like, cool, let me find something interesting that this guy, I see your name on the reservation list. You come like, hey, Sajid, welcome, man. What are you having today? I've got a really interesting wine I want you to try.
It's like sales as well.
It is 100% sales,
yes.
yeah. But it's very pitch focused. You know, you're completely focused on you're selling one product,
correct?
You're selling it to hundreds of different customers.
Questions, man. So, do you work with the chef on curating the menu, or does the chef say, "All right, this is what I'm fucking serving. You guys figure that shit out"?
Yeah, so that's a very contentious thing. So I've worked with many different chefs over time. My personal feeling is you need to let the wine lead you because you can't change the wine.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll try and tell chefs that. Like, find a wine that works with this. I'm like, oh, man. But
so base it around the selection of wine because that is fundamentally what it is.
Absolutely.
And then you can adjust your.
Exactly. Then you got the thing, you're like, shucks, man, this is a.
See why I love this podcast? We fucking love new things every day, even though we don't drink wine.
Even though you don't, but for those your audience to do, right?
Yeah.
You get like a red wine that's got particularly red fruit driven, which means that what you're tasting mostly is things like cherries and strawberries more than dark fruit focus, which is more plums and black currants, right? You go, sure, okay, cool, I got this. This is the wine I have in front of me. So from a food perspective, I'm thinking with that red fruit profile and high acidity, I'd rather something with a bit of fat, a little bit lighter, and not a fillet steak. Because the fillet steak's quite lean, and the wine is going to be lost with that pairing. So if the chef gives me a fillet steak and he's like, pair this, and I look at my wine list and I only got wines with a red fruit profile, I'm completely stuck. So I'm like, oh, cool, it's red wine and red meat. Here we go.
That actually makes a lot of sense. So so you essentially build your entire menu around the selection of wine, and who gets to decide the selection of wine when opening the restaurant? Is that your job?
That's the sommelier's job, yeah.
And do you normally get a budget? You're told.
Yeah. So you do you create what's called a wine program, and so. As a professional sommelier, that is your job. You should be able to design a wine program. And so when you say design, like you want to have wines that touch on every element of what this restaurant's trying to offer. So you want to have a very broad by the glass list if it's that sort of establishment. If not, then if it's a Mediterranean environment, then you don't try to get some wines with lots of acidity that are going to work with that sort of thing. And then within the program, then you want to know that Sajid's coming with his wife for dinner, and he's very well. This is something he does regularly. But then Collins is coming, and this is a particular treat for him. He's been saving up for a long time. It's a very different experience for him.
And Fazal's asking for halal wine.
Well,
that's why God gave us Ribena.
You're straight out of luck, boy.
But like. Now you need to create a program that's going to design that'll work for that. That when Collins leaves, he's gone there saying this was the best experience of my life. Not because I bought the most expensive wine, but because the curation of food and wine together made this an amazing experience for me. And you're going to leave feeling exactly the same way. Now my job is to create an experience that allows for that. And if I only have expensive wines on my wine list, then it doesn't work. And if it's vice versa, if I only have cheap wines on my wine list, then it doesn't work. So
yeah, I will say this. I mean, so that's the gentleman at La Colombe, the sommelier, who was serving wine, which I didn't have any.
Of course,
made the experience that more memorable.
Yeah.
If it was just the food, which was amazing, I don't think it would have been that memorable.
No, for sure. Actually, let me quickly. I think I should. So La Colombe is actually not. There's no Michelin in South Africa.
Okay, it's not 2 star, not two Michelin.
No. We
What
don't
about
have,
Potluck Club and all
no,
those
no,
places?
none, so Michelin doesn't rate any restaurants in Africa, which is a whole other thing to talk about.
Can we just fact check that? Sorry,
Yeah,
just check. La Colombe,
No.
Michelin star. Just
Yeah.
confirm.
So,
'Cause-
so what they have or
Yeah.
what they've been is there's a parallel competition called the World's Top 50 or the World's Top 100.
Yes.
So La Colombe has been up to number 12, if I'm not mistaken, on that list, which is quite a high accolade, and is judged as strenuously as Michelin do. It's just a brand. I mean, Michelin is a company that does it, and
Right.
World's Best is another, and then even locally in South Africa we have our own restaurant.
Standards.
There were restaurant gauging or restaurant gauging competitions. So
There are no Michelin-starred restaurants in Africa, and La Colombe is held to a Michelin-like regard
Okay.
that does not have it.
Interesting.
yeah,
So I was using, Dine Plan,
Yes.
the fucking app.
yeah.
So why did I think it was Michelin star?
Well, I think a lot of
Or
people,
maybe people mentioned
yeah,
Michelin.
yeah. So again, it's like
And to
No,
be fair,
like-
I ate it in Marseille.
Hmm.
I ate at a 3-star
okay,
Michelin restaurant, or was it 2-star?
yeah,
La Petite something,
yeah,
overlooking the beach.
nice,
It was not as great as La Colombe.
interesting, yeah, interesting.
So that's when I was like, okay, this is that fucking douchebaggery packaged up as fine dining. La Colombe was fine dining, but fucking brilliant. If anyone can, you need to book. By the way, it's 6 months in advance. You have to go and book
Well, I'll give you a hot tip if you want to
please. But
go in winter. So
winter is when?
now,
Now.
no,
Where do you stay in Cape Town? Or
I live in Cape Town. Yeah.
Dude, I'm coming in Cape Town.
Oh, you
I'm coming
must-
no, not
must hook
coming
me
in
up.
Cape Town. God damn.
Oh, there it is.
This is what I was telling you earlier. They are banks, so I have to like swipe through, and because I don't have glasses, I can't see.
What do you mean you have to swipe through?
You see, there's 8 buttons. So there's bank 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Just, do you mind if I just quickly
Yeah, sure,
send
sure,
a
sure.
message? Yeah, just
So I have to.
So
go
why
through-
don't you leave it on goddamn bank?
Because I wanted to use this one.
So it's on goddamn bank.
It's on goddamn bank.
All right, I'm going to say that again, just for the audience sake.
Go.
I'm coming in Cape Town.
All right.
You messed it up again. Collins, you should take over this.
Listen,
All right, I'm going to say it for the 3rd time for the audience's sake. I'm coming in Cape Town. We finally landed there. But I will be coming to Cape Town in November
Right. Okay. Cool.
for AfricaCom.
Okay.
the
the
plan
second
is-
person I've met who's coming from Africa.
So the plan is to bring wife down,
Cool.
and
You'll enjoy it.
whoever
You must look me up.
between one of these two, whoever behaves. So why don't we
My money's on Collins.
I'm sorry. What?
I'm sorry.
I'm.
Not that I'm a betting man.
You sound like a
Collins,
very
I'll see you in
betting
Cape
man
Town,
and a
eh?
very confident one.
Collins, you got a passport? Ah,
I know people at Nyayo. I'm getting a passport revoked today. I'm putting-
so would love to catch up at a restaurant.
No, for sure.
Would
Yeah,
love
yeah.
to walk through
Yeah,
the entire
yeah,
experience
yeah,
with you.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
drinking wine
Of course.
and
Just-
smelling
so,
wine.
So Cape Town based, right?
Yeah.
Okay, dude. I'll message you and
Yeah, no,
we'll set
you got my
something up.
number now, so
So-
please do.
So the plan is, I think it's 11th to 12th November.
Yeah.
No, 11, 12, 13. It'll definitely, I won't stay too long because Grand Theft Auto 6 is also coming out that month.
Right.
And like, I've got a whole bunch of dead relatives I need to bring back to life and kill them so I can get extra leave days. And then take leave as well for GTA 6. But anyway,
Okay, cool. Yeah. No, the dining scene is quite cool in Cape Town. So I'm very for one of the roles I have. I judge for the Gourmet Guide, which is one of the benchmarking competitions for restaurants in Cape Town.
Okay.
And so I know a few places. I think
dude, so
I would have a few
we'll
places to
coordinate
tell you.
on that.
Yeah.
I have a last question before
Yeah.
as we wind things down.
Yeah.
Just top restaurants in Cape Town. What would you recommend?
Oh,
Top
wow.
3.
Man, that's some really. Also,
I hate to put you on the spot.
yeah, I know. I work in the industry. Eh? You fucking- But I think just from my own perspective, pure enjoyment, Salsifi is really good.
Okay.
What
What type of cuisine is that?
it's fine dining, but there's it's very nice. I think African inspired is the way I'd put it.
Okay.
And the chef is Ryan Cole. He's I really like his style. And I really like how he's integrated all his experiences into putting that restaurant together. That's really, really cool. A piece in Franschhoek is really cool. It's actually part of the La Colombe group, but a piece means spice in French, and so they do a lot of spice inspired food. And an interesting fun fact, but my grandmother's Indian, so I grew up eating a lot of Indian food, and so spicy food.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, it's another long story, but so for me, that's that I love. I think they do that really, really well.
Okay.
That exploration of spice is stunning. It's a really, really nice experience. What would my third be?
Give me the third one. Let it be a steak place. The best steaks.
Man, like just like yeah.
Steaks.
And then it's not fine dining, like a really, really good steak.
Nelson's Eye.
Nelson's Eye is really good. You get some really good meat in Cape Town. The Fat Butcher in Stellenbosch, they do a very good steak.
I heard that's very good.
Man, like my local, it's not far from where I live. The Hassa Grill in Rondebosch.
Hassa Grill is nice. Yeah.
So the Hassa Grill, it's because they have a no corkage policy.
Rodenbrush is that the one overlooking the sea?
No.
Where is that?
I'm not
The
that
Hassa Grill.
successful. I'm not that successful. I have to drive to the sea.
Okay.
No, so no, Rondebosch is like suburbia proper, full on suburbia. But there are a bunch of different houses.
Okay.
But the one obviously closest to me, and they have a no corkage policy,
Yeah.
which is phenomenal. So you can take any wines.
That's
if you want.
amazing.
Yeah, I did a whiskey tasting there the other day. It was phenomenal. It was really cool. So
I have eaten at Hassa Grill, but what I'll shout out is Nelson's Eye.
yeah, they're
The steakhouse.
it's really good.
Dude, every time I go there, the team, there's a mzee, he greets people exceptionally well, and the food, they've got these fucking mega steaks.
Yeah.
And it's like a yearly tradition. The evening before Africa Com, the Sunday
Oh,
night,
nice. You guys go to
we always go over there and
Yeah.
literally load up. So this
Yeah.
time, hopefully, I'll be coming down with Collins and tea. Sasa, we need to let Spencer go as well because
Wait, I have
his mzee is calling.
I have one more question.
Yes.
You're going to forgive my wine knowledge here.
No, please, man.
But
Do it.
I know there's like the beer of wine. This is the same wine every day you taste it. But if you were to give viewers your recommend budget wine that gets you into more than just off the shelf wine, what would that be?
You. That's a really good question. That's a really good question. Budget wine that. Look, I don't want to reference a single producer.
If you have a range, just like
so
some
I'll go with the
things-
range. As I said, I don't want to reference a single producer. Like I said, I mean, obviously I work in.
You
the
can give a
industry.
couple of names. yeah.
But maybe I'll let me say stylistically, look for this. And it's growing. It's actually not big in South Africa yet. There's vineyards of it being planted. Gamay Noir is the name of the grape. People call it Beaujolais because that's the region it comes from in France. And I think if you're looking for cost-effective, really good quality wine coming from, like you can swear by almost any bottle. That's a really good region that's a really good region to find wines from. Still relatively inexpensive compared to other French wines. Very accessible, very easy to drink. That's probably a good place to go.
Another question. Okay, two questions. One derivative of this.
Yes.
So one is, if I go to a liquor store, I want to
Yep.
buy wine for someone.
Yeah.
How do I know what's off the shelf and what's actually a decent wine to buy for someone? Is there like an easy way to
Mate.
know?
Yeah,
Is
dude.
it-
If you could answer that question, you'd have a job in wine marketing tomorrow. That's impossible. I think they call it the wall of wine. You know, that's what you're faced with, this wall of wine, and you really don't know. So like, obviously, like something like what I've just said, like Beaujolais. Now you're looking for a region, so you can then sort of narrow. Then of course the money in your pocket will be a very definitive factor. and your feelings towards the person you're buying it for. Like, how much do you care about that, and how much are you willing to spend on that? So that starts to narrow it down. Yeah, I think bargains are an interesting place to look, because wine, especially in a secondary market like Kenya, where like you're importing most of the wine, not a lot of wine, you're not producing many of the wines on the shelf. If you find like a wine of not current vintage, so like 2022, that used to be 4,000 bob is now 2,000 bob. If you think just the commercial reasons why that wine's price has been reduced, you'll probably find that's probably a really good wine. You know, there's a good reason it was being priced at that price point to begin with, and then there'd be commercial pressures or whatever that have caused them to want to move it along. But you're probably going to be finding some good value in something like that. I mean, you find a 2010 wine on the shelf that used to be 4,000, it's now 2,000. Like, that's probably wine they've been holding on to that stock for far too long. But yeah, the bargain box is an interesting place to find some really good deals.
I think from what I've gathered from you is you just find what you like.
Yeah.
Get started with that, and then your natural curiosity, if you're into it, will drive you towards similar tones.
I think really importantly is find what you like. Don't be told what you should like, what you want to like. Like you need to totally take that journey for yourself. And like, this is what I like. And
So Collins will do that when we're in Cape Town. We'll find what we like.
yeah,
My final question. I'll
Yes.
let you go, promise.
no stress.
Let's say
I mean, ask all the questions you can, because when we're in Cape Town, you won't be able to, right?
Sajid's about to notice a big dip in quality for this podcast.
I've got Collins now. We've got Collins now, Spencer. Yeah?
So take it for me example. Let's say I go to the liquor store today. I want to get a wine.
Yeah.
Would it be wasted if I got something a little bit more expensive? Would it be? I've never had wine before in my life. Would it be wasted on me? Would I not enjoy it the same way? Would I like my friends tell me this about alcohol? If you go and your first bottle is a Johnny Walker, what's the expensive one, Blue Label, you're not going to enjoy it because you don't know what to try. Is it the same with the wines, or is it more open?
Yeah, I think if you think like the nuance is going to be lost on you. And yeah, potentially. You know, if you're gonna go to a shop and you're gonna buy sneakers, right? And you know, like
You don't know the sneakers.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? You know, like those sneakers, those Adidases that guy that
Kanye.
the guy who booked the record, the sub 2 hour marathon.
Kipchoge.
No, the Kenyan guy, man.
Kipchoge.
No, man.
Kiplagat.
Oh, you guys.
Something.
Flip, I'm forgetting his name.
Sajid just saying names with the keep.
I know, right? It's like they gotta run.
Keep Cheno.
No, man.
Pangetich.
No. Come guys, shit. Why do I not remember this? Anyway.
Keep Choge Kieno.
No. He'll Google it. He'll tell you. Anyway, so this guy broke the sub 2 hour marathon, the London marathon, competitively.
It's a Kip.
What is it?
Kelvin Kiptum.
No.
Another one?
No. It's not Kiptum. Kiptum broke. No.
Wait, let me see.
Anyway, we're taking a bit of a tangent on this one, but the sneakers were developed by Adidas that he wanted with, and then yeah, go ahead.
You've got the name?
Sebastian Sawe.
Sawe, there we go.
Okay,
Sebastian
that was
Sawe.
Not a Kip.
It was not a kif. That I didn't know, right? So those sneakers, right, they became like super high demand because these were the sneakers. They were commercially available sneakers that were available. That the guy who broke the first person to ever run a marathon
Sub
under
2
2
hours,
hours. Yeah. Those shoes were single use. Well, they had a lifespan of 50 kilometers. Mad, right? And they cost like 10,000 rand, which is like 70,000 bob. And you can use them once. That was it. Now, to answer your question, if you don't know, so you see social media and you're like, it's amazing. This guy won the marathon in those shoes. Those shoes are available. They're expensive. I have money. I'm going to buy them. And you buy them, but you don't run. You wear them. You take them when you're going to the shops, so people can see you in those shoes. And you're like, that's not what they were designed for. Right? Or maybe a guy who does casual athletics. You're not a guy who runs, but you take them to the gym. That's not what they were designed for. So yeah, sure, you got the money and you're enjoying them, and they're comfortable and all that. But
Yeah, I
their
guess,
purpose is lost on you.
it's like boxing gloves. If you buy Floyd Mayweather's boxing glove brand, it doesn't mean you're going to fight like him.
Right.
So you sort of there's entry level stuff. If you have the money, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
But anyway,
My question didn't come from an angle of like pretentiousness. It was
No,
like,
no, yeah,
as a
absolutely.
first time.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I try to use that as a tangible example, because you will enjoy the wine. You will love wearing those shoes. But there are things that shoes can do. Those shoes can do that you're never going to unlock because you don't have the athletic ability to unlock it. So there is stuff in wines that, like really expensive, really nice wines, that it is possible if you don't have the experience in tasting that you'll be like, that's a really nice wine, and that's great because you like it. But there is some nuance that might be lost
Spence,
on you.
thank you so much, brother.
You are most welcome, man. I really enjoyed this.
This has been
Guys.
fucking awesome. By the way, are you a coffee drinker?
I am.
Right, so these are for you.
All right. You have your
We have to
own.
be
This
very
is-
careful because he's going to tell us whether it's good or not.
So,
Oh, that's actually, yeah, you should have a coffee.
so
Fantastic.
do you have an espresso machine at home? What do you use to make?
Bean to cup.
Bean to cup.
Yeah.
Is that the? So can we give him the midnight blend? So I'm giving you these three. Just
Sweet.
we
Nice.
have. So this is our specialty blend.
Yeah.
Basically our take on AA.
Nice.
You can tell we love Japanese infused culture, so that's part of it.
Fantastic.
We're gamers as well, so this is our house blend,
I gathered from
respawn blend. And-
Nice.
And then that.
I love it. Nice name.
And then that is a dark roast. So the dark roast is fine grind. So obviously the espresso machine, that's for espressos,
Yeah.
cappuccinos.
Yeah.
This is what you typically use in a pour over.
Right.
If you want to get a bit more fine grind, then you'll have to find. I guess the machine will help with that.
Yeah.
But specifically, these are 3 different blends.
Super, man. I'll give you some feedback.
Please do give us
These
feedback.
are awesome, man. That's amazing. Thank you.
And then
Thank
if,
you.
if it works out, then when we come in Cape Town, we can establish a business with Colombe.
Why not, mate? Why not?
Awesome, guys.
Sweet. Thank you, guys. This
No,
was
thanks.
so cool,
This is-
man.
this
This
is-
is
this
really
is-
awesome. I enjoyed it tremendously.
This is awesome. Guys, thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode, it'll go out for members first. Do subscribe, like, and share. Thank you so much. We'll catch you in the next episode.